Yes, it is Starship time, my friends. Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. I am here at Starbase, Texas. I'm just 5 miles away, 8 kilometers away from the world's largest, most powerful rocket flying. That is, of course, Starship. And this today is Flight 7. How they grow up so fast, don't they? They grow up just so fast. And I'm fortunate enough to realize that we have some of the most beautiful views out here today. Our systems are all go here. We've got our tracking cameras ready. We've got our remotes ready. We've got everything ready to put on an amazing show. And most importantly, though, screw the cameras. We got a beautiful rocket with a much upgraded Starship on top. That thing that you might be seeing right now is very upgraded compared to what has flown to date. Now, from this exact angle, you don't exactly see everything. It's kind of hard to tell the upgrades, but there's thousands of little tweaks here that will hopefully make this a much more reliable, much more. Let's say this is getting a lot closer to a fully functional, fully fledged out system. It's no longer just a prototype. This is the first, upper stage here of the Starship that is looking more and more like a operational-ish vehicle. It's still a pretty big demonstration, still a pretty big prototype, but the fact that they have systems on board that will actually be able to deploy payloads, for now just Starlinks, they only have a little tiny Starlink slot, but that's better than nothing, right? We're actually getting to the point of like, this might be able to do some actual work here this year would be my guess. So yeah, Starship, it's looking good. The weather out here is fantastic. I'm very happy to be here. I really hope we see a catch today since I missed the first one in person. But of course, as you know, I'm trying to see these things as often as I can and as often as makes sense. And I'm just happy that that today is looking like a fantastic day. The sky cleared up a lot. We are into propellant load. Or not propellant load yet. Sorry, not propellant load. But the tank farm has been spooling up, cooling, and getting the propellant ready to start loading into the vehicle. They don't do that until about T-minus 40 minutes. So we got a decent amount of time before that, but since the tank farm is spooling, we're live, and we're here to cover what I think is going to be an extremely exciting launch. So, yeah, this I'm hopeful. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Do you think I'm actually going to see this one finally happen? Or am I just doomed for for another disappointment like last time? I'm thinking this is my time. But you guys let me know. Yeah, people asking if I'm going to be a curse. I hope I'm not the curse that makes it so it doesn't get caught. But I don't know. I'm feeling good about it because they learned a lot since last time. Ironically, the thing that happened last time that prevented the booster from being caught wasn't the rocket. The hard engineering part of the rocket was fine. It wasn't the rocket. It was the launch tower that had problems last time. And now they've kind of hardened some of those systems. And I think that I really think that they hopefully have it a little bit more robust to being able to handle both the launch, but then also be safe enough to be able to handle the catch. So, oh man, I am still just excited from last night. That was crazy with the New Glenn launch. That was wild. It was just fun. That was a fun launch for me. I like seeing new things fly for the first time. And hopefully today's another first for me where I get to see a catch for the first time in person. So welcome to the stream, guys. Yeah, let's just hang out. I'm feeling really I'm just in a chill mode here. This is a beautiful day. We just had a big stream just the other day. We had to come from California. I took a red eye the night before to be able to make it out here in case they did launch yesterday. But now that they're not launching, I got to actually get some sleep, which felt really good. So I'm feeling nice and happy. We are streaming here from Mars, as you can tell, in the studio, and I'm just excited. I'm just really excited. So I hope you guys are ready for an amazing show. So people are asking kind of about the weather. Let's get one of our remote cameras to kind of zoom way out, and let's see what the sky is actually looking like, especially west. So cam ops, if we can. By the way, everything's a little bit on a delay here today for us, unfortunately. We're kind of having to use some backup systems. But the camera ops will start pulling out here and we'll get some wide shots. I really want to see what it looks like to the east. if we're actually going to get a clear line of sight through tracking and then back down. Because last time, here's what's really sad. Last time, all 4 of our robotic tracking cameras had a perfect track from liftoff all the way to stage separation and all the way back down. None of them lost the booster at all. And unfortunately, as you know, last launch, Flight 6, they did not catch the booster. And we had like the perfect, everything was running so well on our end here. So I'm really hoping today we get clear skies. I hope we get to see, a decent idea. I mean, that's pretty clear to the east there. That's pretty darn clear. That cloud is to the south. The camera that we're looking at right now is south facing. So those clouds I'm not as worried about, but the ones to the east, that's what we care about. So weather's looking good, my friends. Weather's looking good. So let's see here. Let's answer a few of your questions right away because yeah, I don't even know what all we can answer today. I still am just trying to catch up from yesterday, I feel like. Oh, this is awesome. So let's see. Let's answer a few questions. Like this one from Sadhu's Mani 78. Do you expect Amanda? I'll replace that with crude because there might be women and robots and maybe dogs. Let's just say crude, a crew. Mars landing before 2035. From Karachi, Pakistan. That's amazing. Welcome and thank you for a good question. My optimism date on humans being on Mars changes all the time, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, 2035 maybe we would actually have humans walking on Mars at some point. Here's the biggest hurdles right now to getting humans on Mars. Obviously, a rocket. We need a rocket capable of landing 100 tons of humans and their life support and their refueling equipment on Mars. That's just what you kind of have to have, bare minimum. We don't have that yet. Starship, when it gets to the point of being able to refuel in orbit and go to Mars, go from low Earth orbit to Mars fully fueled, we're getting a lot closer. That's a good step. Another big step is we need to be able to take and make a lot of electricity, a lot of power on Mars. So we either have to use nukes, nuclear reactors, or a ton of solar. And the reason I kind of put an emphasis on ton of solar is because Mars is 1.5 AU. So it's you need over twice as much solar capacity on Mars to produce the same amount of electricity that you would here on Earth, just because it's simply further away from the sun. And of course, the inverse square law means that it's receiving proportionally less, to the square root, a less amount of sunlight compared to here. So that's a challenge. That's a big challenge. How do you safely get humans to Mars, deploy enough power, have the systems proven to be able to actually extract CO2 from the atmosphere, extract water from the subsurface and split it up and electrolysis to be able to get your hydrogen and your oxygen. Of course, Starship doesn't run on hydrogen, but you do need that compound to be able to reproduce methane using the Sabatier process. There's a lot of things that need to happen. How do you shield for radiation? There's so many things. It's like, man, I just don't know how long it's going to take. I am more hopeful about a Starship potentially landing on Mars in the next 5 years. And ideally, in my world, if I was in charge of that mission, of that first Starship landing on Mars, I would like to just throw like 100 Optimus Prime, whatever they're called. Optimus, right? Robots or whatever Tesla's making, where you have an off-the-shelf component. You have something. What was that, Andrew? Sorry. Not Prime. That's the Transformer. So we could also send Optimus Prime there, maybe. Just Optimus robots. But here's what I'm thinking. Instead of these... our trailer also has an air conditioning that we lovingly call Optimus Prime. Speaking of AC, it's getting kind of hot in here for once. Whew. So by the way, so back to robots. If you have a ton of just kind of off-the-shelf robots, like say, Boston Robotics, that's not what they're called, is it? Boston Dynamics. There we go. Boston Dynamic Robotics. If you have those robots or something just super relatively cheap, $100,000 robots versus a bespoke $1 billion robot, and you can only afford one of them. In my world, and in my opinion, I'd rather have 100 that might fail a lot. You might have like a 70% failure rate of them once they're running around and, all of them have the same error and their joints wear out and they immediately fall over. once they're on the surface of Mars. I'd rather have that and have just one or two that are still working than have one chance that just has to work right. That would be my way of going about it. A mass-produced robot that's just sort of good enough. So we'd have to have the artificial intelligence up to tasks to be able to actually say, hey, once you land here, you're going to have to map out your surroundings and figure out where to lay solar panels and how to run the cables and get them back. I mean, that's pretty advanced. We're getting there with some of these solutions, but it's just, the point is, to answer your question, long story short, I'm like 8 minutes into this, to get to Mars and have humans on Mars, we have to have solved a lot of problems. So I don't like having timelines or like a time frame. I don't like trying to put a date on something because I just think it's irresponsible. We need to get over this in the spaceflight community. We need to look at milestones. So once we are seeing a Starship that is capable of going to Mars, then we can get excited about a Starship going to Mars. Once we have a Starship on Mars, then we need to see a Starship that can get back from Mars. Once we can see a Starship that can get back from Mars, then I think we can get excited about humans going to Mars. But until all those things happen, we're a long, 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 long ways. So this is from LTB saying, and thank you so much for your donation here. Hi, Tim. Love your work. The new Glenn launch last night was good last night, but Starship makes me excited. Can you explain the difference and similarities between the two rockets? That's a great question. Let's start with their similarities. They're both huge. New Glenn and Starship are both extremely large rockets. Starship is 9 meters wide, so 30 feet wide, and it's 120, over 120, like 122 meters tall at this point, which is like over 300, like 300, what is it, 50, 60, 70 feet, 370 feet or something. It's getting huge. It just keeps growing. No, it's almost 400 feet. It's like I don't know. Someone do the math for me. It's very tall. It's very, very big. New Glenn, on the other hand, is 7 meters wide. So what is that? 22-ish feet wide, and it's 98 meters tall. So almost so a little over 300 feet tall. Sorry, all these conversions. I'm having to keep them all straight. So New Glenn is a little bit smaller, but it's still huge. They both run on methane for their booster. Technically, Blue Origin calls it, they say natural gas, or they say, what is the exact word they use? Liquid natural gas, LNG. Which is mostly methane anyway. So it's mostly methane. The exact proportion ratios of methane and ethane and propane and all that stuff. New Glenn's, you could just say it's methalox. Oh, methalox, like this shirt. I don't know. You can call it methane. You can call it the natural gas. That's kind of all the same thing. But for today, we'll just say that both first stages are methane. Starship uses methane on both stages, on the upper stage and the booster, whereas New Glenn uses hydrolox. So that's the that's the combination of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, which is kind of the most efficient because hydrogen is such a lightweight molecule. You can throw it very fast, have high specific impulse because that's high exhaust gas velocity, which is the same thing as specific impulse. And there you go. You end up with a extremely, with a very, very capable rocket because you have a hydrolox upper stage, a 7-meter wide hydrolox upper stage. That's a bigger upper stage than what SLS has used today with the, it's previously known as the ICPS, which is that's what it's currently known as, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, but it's basically a Delta IV upper stage. That's kind of the main differences. They both land propulsively, at least the booster does, or should eventually. As we know last night, unfortunately, New Glenn did not manage to land last night, but they both, it can land in the same way. New Glenn can land in the same way that Starship can get into orbit. It hasn't yet, but it will. I'm just putting it that way. Let's see. Starship has the potential for a fully reusable upper stage, so making the entire rocket fully reusable. Starship, when they start flying with the new booster, which should be this year, we'll be able to lift over 100 tons to low Earth orbit. That's insane. New Glenn can get 45 tons to low Earth orbit. New Glenn would still be a little bit better optimized right now for high energy orbits like geostationary orbits, geostationary transfer orbits, because of that hydrolox expendable upper stage. You can't beat it in that term or in that regard. So Starship, being what it is, because it's so heavy, over probably close to 200 tons of dry mass on the upper stage, trying to sling that out to, say, the moon or to geostationary transfer orbit is very, very difficult. So those are kind of the main differences. I went on way too long about that, and let's keep going. From Joe Bowden. Hi, Tim, the Everyday Astronaut. I'm Nominal Joe. Love hearing from you, Nominal Joe. That's awesome. Let's light these 33 candles. Absolutely. I am ready for it. I am absolutely ready for it. All right. This is from Tommaso saying, here's to hoping you get to see the catch this time. I'm really hoping I get to see the catch this time. I want to feel that sonic boom. I just heard a sonic boom of a Falcon 9 2 days ago. 2 days ago, right now, at this time, I had just heard the sonic boom of a Falcon 9 re-entering when I was covering that launch with Mark Rober when he launched his SatGus. And it was awesome. I mean, that was so much fun. I did post the live stream to that. It was hosted on his, it was a private or an unlisted stream that he put up on his one of his channels. And but we were able to share that link separately. So if you look through my X feed, you might find it. Or if you're a supporter, I did post about it as well. And it was a lot of fun. For me, it was actually really cool being with a live audience with kids, you know, screaming and getting excited. It was awesome. The energy was palpable, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm really, really glad that we did that. You know, that was something that was 6 months in the making, was to help him live stream that and to co-host with him. And it was awesome. His team were awesome. Seeing, I've never seen a Falcon 9 from the ground. I've seen a Falcon 9 from the air from Vandenberg, but never from the ground. So I'm high on sonic booms, baby. Give me more of those. I'm hoping that we get another big one today because I need my fix. Code Neon, get some sleep tonight. You earned it. I think that was from last night. Thank you. Or unless it's tonight. If it's tonight, I will need some sleep tonight because the next week's going to be very crazy because we have the Astro Awards coming up next weekend. So January 25th and 26th. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Astro Awards coming up, guys. January 25th, 26th, Austin, Texas. We are very close to being sold out, but we have an amazing group of people that are going to be coming. So it's not just us handing awards to people this year like we did last year. Last year was kind of a minimum viable product where we gave out awards to people in the aerospace industry. But if you click on schedule, you're going to see we have quite the lineup now, including Scott Manley. We've got the crew of players, Dawn. We've got Zyla Foxland. We've got Joel Gomez, known as Integza. We've got Andrew Adams coming from, they're all going to be talking about making rockets at home. We've got an astronaut who's walked on the moon, Charlie Duke, coming. They're all doing panels and speeches. It's going to be a ton of fun. We will be recording the whole thing and posting some of the stuff on my channel later on. But if you want to, you know, catch it, you better. Jack Byers going to be there from NSF, and John Krause. A lot of people that you guys hopefully know. It's going to be super, super fun. Eric Berger. Paul Wooster, on that topic of can get humans to Mars in 2025. Paul Wooster is the one you want to talk to. He is the SpaceX engineer in charge of getting humans. He's in charge of the Humans to Mars program. So, yeah, I would, if you are in the area or you can make it next weekend to Austin, Texas, I would get your butt over to astroawards.live because it's going to be incredible. So, so I won't sleep until after that is done because we have a ton of work. So, yeah. This is from the Brain 2K. Hey, Tim, what would a trajectory for Starship reentry and catch actually look like? Towers are on East Coast, so potential RUD over land, overshoot east, and boost back during belly flop, new tower on West Coast. These are very good questions. It will have to overfly land, just like the space shuttle did, just like Dragon capsule sometimes re-enters over land, although they kind of changed that to re-enter over even less land because of the Dragon's trunk being jettisoned. But in theory, once they prove out, that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen a catch attempt yet, is because a catch attempt does require overflying land. So, yeah, again, the space shuttle, we did have, unfortunately, the loss of Columbia during reentry, and it did rain debris down over like 7 states. So that was not good. Luckily, no one got hurt. I don't think there's any property that got hurt. Starship's even bigger, though. If Starship broke up over the United States and over Mexico, it'd be very bad. It would be very, very bad. You could have debris raining everywhere and heavy chunks of debris, and it would hold up a lot better because it is stainless steel. So most of it would probably make it to the ground. So they need a large amount of confidence from not only themselves, but for the FAA and the governing bodies to say, hey, we trust that you can overfly land, you know, and fingers crossed, that's something we're going to be seeing here this year. So I can't say for certain. No one knows for certain when that'll happen. But if this keeps going well, V2 goes well and holds up even better than the first one, I don't see why why it wouldn't be capable of doing that this year. So we'll see. It's definitely a big. Oh, so the next part to actually answer your question about the tower and like overflying the tower, I'm going to use a water bottle and a phone. And so people think, oh no, how are they going to do that? Because it's going to like hit the tower if it's going from west to east to be caught. Don't forget that flip is actually coming from like straight down. So it's way up here. When it does that flip, it's basically arbitrary which side the tower is on, whether it's on top or not. It's like way up there still. It's something like, I think we measured it out once to be about 1,500 feet when it does the flip. So it's so far above the tower that swinging maneuver has nothing to do with the tower. It'll be very vertical by the time it's anywhere near the tower for several seconds and descending down. And we'll have to, so what it'll probably do is swing over, go beyond the tower, and then scoop back, kind of like how we see Starship doing that like power slide into the loving arms of Mechazilla. And I think that's what we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see it literally jump, like go completely across from west to east. But by the time it gets to us here at Starbase, we're gonna basically see it coming straight down. Like when this happens, hopefully this year, I'll be standing right out there, and I'm gonna see a Starship coming from west to east. And by the time it's over us, it'll just be straight above, basically from our vantage point, falling straight back down. And that will be the craziest thing. That will be even crazier than a booster catch, just because it's like so absurd that it went around the world probably many times. Yeah, just crazy. Let's see here. From L Tibby wants to know, thank you for your donation. Wants to know what's the flight path for Starship today. It's the same flight path that they've been doing for the past couple ones, where it ends up in the Indian Ocean. So it kind of threads the needle here in the Gulf Coast, missing Cuba, missing Florida, missing all the Caribbean islands, and just threads the needle and goes out into low Earth orbit, almost low Earth orbit-ish, on a low Earth orbit-ish trajectory. And it just makes itself just shy of orbit so that it can, so they can do a Raptor relight test, which is exciting. And then they're also doing a payload demonstration deployment. So they're going to be deploying Starlink dummy payloads out of the payload bay, which is a first that they actually have dummy payloads, and they actually have a real mechanism capable of doing that for once. And if that goes well, that's looking good. But of course, it's still on a suborbital trajectory, so it will still re-enter, and those payloads will just burn up on re-entry, kind of nearby Starship. So I'm guessing Starship will probably do a little bit of maneuvering to make sure that those Starlinks don't hit it on re-entry, or that they don't come in contact on re-entry. Let's see, this is Gary T. Hope we have a great launch. Hello from Auckland. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, Gary. Very much appreciate that. From Iron Inception, thank you also for another New Zealander. We got dual New Zealanders. Oh, okay, we got a 37-minute push here, guys. So they are doing a booster catch. They are trying for a booster catch. All right, so we have a 37-minute push. Let me fix that clock, save, update, and let's see if I did that right. That appears to be right. Thank you, Flying Ryan. In our Discord. Cool. Okay. So we have 2 hours and 10 minutes still. Let me take a drink of water, because this is going to be a long stream. So there we go. Let's get back to your questions. We got nothing but questions, my friends. Will the booster separation be earlier this time? That's actually a really good question. I'm going to head over to SpaceX.com launches, and I'm going to look at their timeline here for Flight 7. I don't remember if the booster stage separation is earlier or not. 2:32. I'm going to look up what Flight 6 was and compare the numbers. Flight 6 was... Oh, they don't have that up still. Crap pants. I guess we can look it up. Give me a second here. Let me try to figure out if we can figure out exactly when SpaceX Starship Flight 6 was. And man, 1 second. I hope you're not hearing all that. Let's see. Booster separation last time was at about 2:37 or so, 2:38, 2:39. around 240, and now booster separation. Miko is at 232 with 240 being would be separation. It's about the same. I think it's about the same. I don't see anything that changed there in that timeline, but I sadly don't have the old timeline to compare it, complete apples to apples. I was going from the live stream compared to their objectives here. But they are trying to catch it. Yes, they are trying to catch the booster today. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Let's see. Let's keep going here. From Poke Bros, is the first fuel reload Starship being built? I'll bet parts of it are for sure being built by now. I don't know how deep we'd be into the first, orbital fuel transfer test, but I'll bet that stuff's ramping up. I absolutely bet that stuff is ramping up. So I don't have a definitive answer for that, but yeah. Whoa, 100 euros from Grumlop. Holy crap! Thank you so much. Do you think the removed tiles on the side will be a more final version? Can't think this will stay so slim, or have they internal geniuses solution to avoid crumbling, or do they have internal solutions to avoid crumbling? Do you think they remove tiles on the side that will be a more? Do you think the removed tiles on the side will be a more final version? So saying, do they have a genius solution to avoid crumbling? So crumbling would be more structural, right? They have structural reinforcements. The heat shields aren't there for structural reasons. The heat shields are just there to protect re-entry heat. So to protect the hull from re-entry heat, the stainless steel hull. And if the tiles are being taken away from the side, it's because that side is being protected. So here's the deal: when Starship's ranting, and ironically, my beautiful heat shield tile flask here, whatever this is called. What's this called? Not a flask. What do you? Cantina? Water bottle? Sure, water bottle. There's a word for it. There's a better word for it, but I can't think of it. Okay, as it's re-entering, the bow shock, it actually doesn't completely, won't go laminar against the sides of the booster because it's hypersonic. So it almost ends up like a V. A V shape comes off of, the sides. So you'll see it spiking out, kind of like this, a shock wave. And so if those sides, as it rounds the corner, if you have a straight line coming off of here, this is hard to do because it's actually full of water and I don't want to spill everywhere. If you have a straight line coming off of there, one spot could be very hot and getting the full heat, while literally just a few centimeters away could be receiving virtually no heat because it's not coming in contact with plasma. Thermos, there we go. Hydro flask, thermos. It is a flask. Container, a water bottle, heat flask, canteen, Moss Eisley. Yes. Okay, anyway. Yeah, these are, what was I saying? Something, stuff and things. As long as that area is not being hit with by plasma, then you don't need heat shield tiles, and therefore we could see it be trimmed away as we do see it, and that could be exactly what continues. So from Ryan J.B. Pattinson Bateman, would the belly flop velocity be higher or lower than the previous ship design? So by now it's probably heavier because it has RVACs, it has a lot more hardware, it has the heat shield tiles, so its terminal velocity will be higher, but it's not by much. It's not going to be by much at this point. The difference between the old SN8, 9, 10, I mean, we're talking, it got down below 100 meters per second for terminal velocity. I'm guessing with all this extra mass, we're maybe talking 120, 130. So a few, it wouldn't probably be noticeable, but I'm guessing it is quite a bit faster. When you have more mass with the same surface area, you're going to have a higher terminal velocity. So that would be my guess. Jeffrey Hollum. Hi, Tim. SpaceX have moved the forward flaps to get them out of the worst of reentry atmospheric damage. Why haven't they had to move the rearward flaps? Honestly, great question. I don't quite get what is inherently different about the front flaps versus the aft flaps, the nose flaps versus the aft flaps. I don't know. That's a very good question. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why the aft flaps seem to hold up better, because they have the same kind of inherent hinge design, because those flaps do need to move. I have a Starship model back there, and I could do some demonstrations, but I'm just so scared of it because whenever I touch it, I feel like I break it. But the flaps move. They have a similar hinge, so I'm not sure what about the rear flaps made them hold up better than the nose flaps. Hang on 1 second here. I'm gonna. Let's see here. So, good question. Let's go to the next one from Iron Inception. Hi, Tim. Will we see Raptor 3 engines on the ships and boosters? Or when will we see? I'm not entirely sure exactly when, but I think it'll be this year. I hope within the next. That's a really good question. I'm hoping by the end of the year we end up getting to see Raptor 3, and Raptor 3 is going to be amazing, even more powerful, even simpler, lighter weight. It is everything. So, Code Neon, I heard something about an engine reuse on the booster. Is that true? Yes, they did reuse an engine, and we're thinking that it was the Pi engine 314. So if it really was 314, that's awesome. I'm really excited about that. That's hilarious. And very cool if they would already be reflying some hardware that flew once. And we'll have to see if this gives them enough confidence to be able to actually go and refly a booster here relatively soon. That's something that I'd really be looking forward to. Dabbling, keep up the good work. My question, do you think New Glenn should have switched to Starlink for their flight coverage so we get to see it sometime next? So they do actually have Starlink on their drone ship, which ironically I think will give them fantastic feeds, but they don't have Starlink on their rocket. That's, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a problem in the future, but it was a little bit disappointing that we didn't have good downlink on that yet. But yeah, we'll see. Hang on, I'm gonna find out. Is the arrow okay? Is it broken? You can go ahead and just tinker as loud and as necessary as you want. Although I guess that mic is.
There's nice air outside. So.
There is nice air outside. Well, let's get some nature. Let's get some nature. Oh, that does feel good. Oh, okay. Screw air conditioning. Oh, that feels really nice. It is oh yes, it's a very pleasant 64 degrees, which in normal human terms of Celsius, that's like, what is that? That's like 16 or so. That's just a guess, but yeah. All right, let's keep going. This is from Stephen Thompson. Oh, that feels so good. Sorry, I was like cooking in here. Stephen Thompson, RFA have their first launch license for a rocket launch from Saxford, Shetland, Scotland. That is awesome. I saw that they got their launch license. That's extremely exciting. I hope them the absolute best. Unfortunately, they did lose their first booster that they were testing at the pad, but as we know, that's not a sign of things to come. SpaceX lost a lot of hardware while they're working on things too, and that's just kind of normal, to be honest. So, yeah. By the way, thank you. Everyone say thank you to the mods that help especially get the questions to my eyeballs. You're doing a fantastic job, and I always love all your hard work. Let's bring in some of the Discord questions into the queue, too. I don't have a good way to pull that up here right now, so if you wouldn't mind throwing those into my queue, I'd love to answer some. I see some good questions. So, Poke Bros, back to the question of when will the first pre-creation ship be launched to Mars? What's pre-creation ship be launched to Mars? Pre-creation ship. Am I missing something? Is that like a biblical term? Like I don't know what a pre-creation ship is. If you guys have any questions, or is it supposed to be prediction? The first prediction ship? I'm not entirely sure, and I'm sorry that I'm not entirely sure. But let's just say that it is prediction on the ship to Mars. Again, I'm not going to predict the date. I'm just going to look for those milestones, baby. Milestones. Procreation ship. I don't know what that means either. Like a procreation ship? Is that like a ship that they're going to mate with another ship on Mars, or is that a ship that they're going to have humans procreate? I don't know. I can't put a time on any of that stuff because I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Ologist D, why isn't Elon pushing to build colony and infrastructure on the moon for Starship production? Having to launch the materials into lunar orbit would be cheaper, easier than building in atmosphere. he wants to skip the moon. So when people say we're going to use the moon as like a stepping stone, very few people think of using the moon as like a literal takeoff point to go to Mars. It's not a great takeoff point. If you have to fix something, build something, get oxygen, need water, like all of the materials that we have here on Earth, it's not a great, pre-production maybe? I don't know. That's hilarious. But I don't see a world where it's easier to build rockets. Yes, from a physics standpoint, as far as like efficiency goes, yes, you can do more with the same rocket taking off from the moon than you can on Earth. So yes, purely from that standpoint, you're right. But from like a logistics of we have to now build a rocket on the moon, and get humans and whatever else on the moon. I mean, eventually, sure, if we have like a colony on the moon and it's self-sustaining and you can refuel a rocket on the moon to go wherever, getting methane on the moon would be very hard because you don't have carbon dioxide to be able to use the Sabatier process, but you would be able to use hydrogen, and now we have to have a hydrogen-powered Starship, or if you're using helium-3 and nuclear reactors or something, sure. But we're talking far future. In the far future, sure, if we have that infrastructure on the moon to be able to do crazy things, then of course, eventually, maybe you might just start leaving, you go from the moon to Mars, but that's not a near-term thing at all. Right now, by far, it's easier just to launch a bunch of rockets, refuel them in Earth orbit, and take off from Earth and skip the moon altogether. Now, I do think, in my opinion, the moon has some value that I still think we should be going back to the moon. I think, as I always say, it's totally my own thing that I made up, and I always say it, don't I, Nick? I've always been saying this. It's not anyone else's saying. It's just purely my saying that I've always said we should have never left. We should have never left the moon. But I still think we need to go back to the moon because I still think there's a lot of things we can learn about kind of long-term living, about challenging problems while still having it close enough to be able to kind of come home on a life raft type of thing, an Apollo 13 situation. I think the moon is still a valuable tool for learning how to live off-world long-term. So that's my thoughts on that. Papa P. Tim, thank you and your team of space flight enthusiasts who work so diligently to bring us exciting news about our current space race. You are absolutely welcome, Papa P, and thank you so much for your generous donation. This is from Green Axe. Mars has a solid core. Atmosphere is not strong. We need to look at the closest star. Mars is a good start, though. Let's go. Looking at the closest star, now we're talking like generational, multiple generations. Even if you're going as fast as like Parker Solar Probe, which that probe is very lightweight and did like 7 Venus flybys to get to the speed that it's at, I still think it's only like 1% the speed of light. And if it's like 1% the speed of light and the closest star is 4 light years away, we're still talking about 400 years to get to the closest star with, like a human-made object. And if we think about it that way, let's keep going with this. If you think about it that way, even at that velocity, that's relative to the sun at its perigee. So therefore, it would not be going that fast anywhere near apogee. So we got to take another, it'd be like 4,000 years probably or something like that. It's just not it's not in our lifetime. It's literally not in our lifetime. Literally not in anyone that we've ever known's lifetime, and even not in our great grandchildren's lifetime. That's so far future that I think even looking to stars as an option for habitability is just simply not an option for us right now until we find some new physics or new crazy forms of propulsion. Everyday Space Nerd, good to hear from you. When Starship V3 or the third version of Starship comes out, do you think they will have to rebuild the OLT to accommodate the stretched ship? Of course, there's going to be, I think once the second pad is online, right now we're still launching from the OG launch tower, while pad 2 is getting much, much better. And it's becoming more and more legit by the day. And it's getting closer and closer to hopefully seeing a launch from it. Right, pad 2? Right? Okay. It says, yes, please launch for me this year. Then I think we'll see major modifications made to Launchpad 1 or a complete teardown of Launchpad 1, and it'll have to just become the same as Launchpad 2. There's going to be an awkward transition there for a little bit where we have kind of one tower so right now we have one tower and another tower being built, and then as soon as that other tower is built, I think we're pretty quickly going to start ripping it apart and using it like like Jawas and just scrapping it for parts. Ryan's random videos. Hey, Tim, glad to see how happy you are for these events, by the way. Go Elon, go Starship, Astronaut cheer. Thank you so much. Also, you know, I'm happy because I've seen some awesome rockets launch in the last few days. I saw an incredible Falcon 9 launch. New Glenn last night was so much fun to watch. I can't believe people were like, that was boring. How was that boring? I mean, it was one of the largest rockets flying, and it lumbered off the pad with a very low thrust to weight ratio, which I did not expect to happen. I probably should have just double checked the thrust to weight ratio of the known mass and the known thrust, but it was just so not what I was expecting. And it, to me, was just awesome. I loved it. Ooh, we're hearing some action at the pad. I don't know what that is spooling up, but we're definitely hearing something. Peter Palladini, the idea of 80% robot casualty rate for a solar panel is simultaneously hilarious and incredibly metal. Love your channel. Been watching for almost 6 years from Peter. Thank you so much for your long-term viewership, for saying hi. That is awesome. And it is, can you imagine just all these, like, you go to Mars and you just see a graveyard of like dead robots just laying around in their like last position. That'll be a very interesting scene to see. Tony, greetings, Tim and team. What are your predictions for today's, hopefully, flight regarding the Starlink dummy, relight, and of course, catch attempt? Watch New Glenn as well. Very exciting. Thanks for the great coverage. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for tuning in, and thank you so much for your generous donation. I'm feeling good, guys. I don't know. With last night going so well, with, again, the stream, I'm just feeling like things have been going very well lately, and I'm just happy, and I just want to see, I want to see this be a checklist of every milestone just being absolutely nailed. I want to see Starship re-enter and looking fantastic. I want to see Starship do another Raptor relight test and be perfect. I want to see 10 Starlink dummy satellites be deployed perfectly. I want to see the booster be caught and look perfect. I want it all today, my friends. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's my prediction. I'm not confident on that prediction, but that's what I want, darn it, and that's what I'm going to ask for. So there we have it. Dave Graham, hope you got some sleep. I did, as you can tell. Thanks for everything to you and your team. Thank you so much for your generous donation, and thank you for wishing me pleasant sleep because it was very good to get caught up. Jerry Boxham, hey Tim, watching together with my dad from Holland. Wow, I love the Netherlands. Go Starship, go Everyday Astronaut. Greetings, Coop and Gary. I love it. Thank you so much for saying hi. Michael, Big Mike Maxey, Blue Origin's New Glenn missed the landing. Possible RUD at 81 kilometers at 42,000 miles an hour, or 44,002. My God, I'm like stumbling on my own words. 4,200 miles an hour. Yes, it did not hit the landing, which again, I mean, they tried to reiterate this. It's so funny. I did see a comment and I almost want to read it because it was just like total facepalm. Someone said like, oh, I just got to read it because it cracked me up. It was like the hypocrisy in the statement. They go, hardly what I call a beast. This was crap. Their goal is orbit? That should be given when you launch something to space. What's the point otherwise? And Blue Origin's orbit probably is a couple miles below orbit anyway. So hold on. This person is upset that it was crap and they didn't launch, that their goal was orbit, and that what's the point of launching otherwise? Have they not, like, I'll bet this person's also like, yeah, Starship. Because by that metric, you know, Starship's never made it to orbit, but it still has value. And for Blue Origin to launch a massive rocket like that and get it to orbit and complete that milestone is still a very big deal. Landing was like they're the opposite. So far, both those rockets in my world have done about the exact same amount as far as their intended goals. Starship has landed and done a lot of cool milestones, except for orbit, although it could, and it will. And Blue Origin launched and got to orbit and will land someday. It didn't land this time, but I'm sure it will. I'm sure they'll figure it out. And to me, it's like, why do people be the way they do? Why can't they be the good in the world? Why can't they be the good? Why be the bad? I've had too much sleep. You get to choose right there. If you're listening to these words, you get to choose how you perceive things. And just, it makes life better when you just go, that was awesome. That was fun. Good job, people. You worked hard. You did something cool. What's so hard about that? You can like other things. I love Starship. I loved New Glenn's launch last night. I loved going and seeing Stoke Space. I loved going and see a Soyuz launch. Like, this isn't that hard. You can just enjoy stuff. Maybe that's just me. You can be the do the good. You can be the good. The do of the good. You. Here's Feed Me Kittens again. Thanks for the stream last night. I hope you've been keeping your fingers. Okay. Yes. Is the PAX dispenser still being tested this flight? Yes, as far as we know, they are still hoping to do a 10 Starlink dummy payload extravaganza, where they're going to be dispensing 10 Starlink dummy satellites into space, but not into orbit because it's not in orbit. CF18 says that's not even enough candles for my birthday cake. I'm not sure if 33 is the number. If 33 is the number you're talking about, or if it's the 7 from last night. If you combine them, is that enough? My birthday's coming up. I've got only a month and a few weeks coming up until I turn very old. Brett Victor, hey Tim, thanks for everything you do. Question: can you explain why there are launch windows when we're not trying to catch the ISS or a planet? Yes, absolutely, I can explain that. So for these particular missions, the big thing is when a rocket flies, you have exclusion zones. You have places where humans cannot be. That includes marine traffic. That includes air traffic. That's the number one thing. Is like you don't want to just say, just leave the launch window open for 2 weeks, whatever, and then no planes and no boats can go through anywhere where the rocket's flying. Would be horribly irresponsible and incredibly inconvenient for many, many people. So that's why you normally have a window. So like 3 to 4 hours launch window is pretty much the maximum that most launches have, even if it's an arbitrary launch. Sorry, microphone. Even if it's an arbitrary launch like this, where it's not rendezvousing with anything, it doesn't have a destination per se. That's like time based, but here Starship kind of is time based. But I'll say that in a second. The real driving factor of a launch window is just simply shutting down all of the even here at the pad, like even locally, shutting down the road with the beach access, shutting down. Again, the boat traffic, the air traffic. It's just an inconvenience, and that's just kind of a compromise. Like, hey, we'll give you 3 or 4 windows to get this thing off the ground. If you don't, then try again. Today's launch window is driven a lot by those factors, but also they want to see Starship re-enter during the day, and it's landing in the Indian Ocean. So luckily, it's in the southern hemisphere, so those days are pretty long right now. So we have the option of landing during the day and getting good footage back. But that's the main driving factor, so that it lands in daylight on the other side of the world. Renato, thank you so much for the super chat. Nisei977, hey, watching from Sweden, take off at 23 your time. So that's going to be changing from 23, so it pushed back 37 minutes or whatever. And where are we at now? We are currently at T-minus 1 hour and 46 minutes. Let's go. Everyday Space Nerd again, do you think we will see launches from both launch towers at the same time in the near future? Is that even possible? When you say in the future, in the near future, I mean in years, I could see that maybe being a thing. Like maybe in 5 years, if they're launching these things so frequently, they're just like, hey, let's just launch 2 in the same corridor, within the same, they'd probably still stagger them. That would be awesome. The day there's 2 starships launching, literally within 10 seconds of each other, I could see that happening. Near future, within the next decade, maybe, but not this year, not next year. But maybe in 5-10 years, actually, maybe if they have the physical capability and the ground support to do that, because there's a lot of propellant needed for that to be able to support 2 missions, and they need to have flown them a bunch to make sure they really love the vehicle enough to trust it flying next to someone that close, another one that close. Maybe, and if Elon's halfway in charge of government efficiency and saying don't talk about government efficiency. Let us launch 2 rockets with only 1 set of launch licenses and 1 exclusion zones. This will be way easier for the government. Maybe there's an argument there of hey, if we already have the range closed, just let us launch 2. I would love that. Megan, how hot does it get at the Hopper/Danger Lot? Thanks to your teams for all the hard work. That's a really good question. We should consider putting out I would love to know that answer. Putting recording, data logging the temperature of some of our equipment. Do we have that already with Alfredo? Do we see a spike?
Inside the cases. No, but weather station is
Weather station, and it'd also be cool if we actually had like a thermostat pointed at, or like a laser temperature thing pointing at like a piece of metal, so you can see if it's. So you can see if it's, oh yeah, if it's collecting heat. I don't know. We don't have an answer on that yet, but I would love to just experiment with that and see how much heat is coming off of those 33 Raptor engines. Is it noticeable? That'd be a lot of fun. Mark Carleen, pointy end up, flaming down. This is as good as time as any. I might have to do a couple of these things, but look at that shot right now. We've got pointy end up, flaming end down with the ocular assessment powers in me, and I could even go outside for this. I could go outside even and test it. Hey, I'm going to go outside and just do it for fun. And actually, I'm just going to take you guys with me for a second. Give me 1 second here. Watch, I've got a new fun little thing we're going to do. We'll do this later too, but check this out. Come with me. Come with me. And you'll see that I'm looking at a starship. There it is. And guess what? I can confirm by the powers in me and my ocular assessment, my direct ocular assessment, not even needing pixel to pixel translation and the internets or interwebs. I can confirm that I haven't stood out here actually done this yet. But yeah, I can confirm pointy end is up, flaming end is down. That is awesome. That makes me really happy. Beautiful day out here. Very beautiful day out here. Yeah, this is great. I hope you guys are that this worked. This is a good test run because this is about what I'll be doing during the launch. So let's go back inside. Did it work? That's the question. Did it work? You guys got a chin camera for a few minutes? Well, at least we know it works, which is a good sign. I'll take it working. I'm excited to see that. That's going to be hilarious. So I'll do a better job of setting up the camera. I have a tripod for it, but that is something we're going to do on the show. Is that so? Yes. The pointy end is up, flaming end is down. This is Jason. Hello from the Rocket Ranch Outpost. Awesome, Jason. Tell everyone there at Rocket Ranch Outpost, hello from Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. I hope you guys are enjoying. It is a beautiful day. I hope spirits are high out there, as high as they are here. So, Jason, hello, and everyone else. I don't know if that made it onto air. Now it did. Okay. Let's keep going, my friends. This is from a long, unordinary programmer. I waited for the stream all day. Support and love from Croatia. Thank you so much. I don't know if these are going on. They're like a little delayed. Thank you so much. KT says, have there been any updates to the second launch pad? Do you know if the first use of that will be for the IFT launch or Starship catch? So I think they'll just go for a launch when it does happen. And right now, as we speak, it's getting closer. I think we're still a few months away from that tower going online, that launch pad. It's a massive, I mean, it takes a long time to build an infrastructure like that. And to kind of do it, I'm going to say do it right. No offense to our beloved Pad A here, the first pad there. But it was not like what you would consider like a legitimate launch pad. It's just sort of I mean, it works, but it's not, everything's just kind of like cobbled together. And now this new pad is way more like robust, legitimate, massive overhaul into the entire design. So it's taking a lot longer. And when it does go online, it will hopefully help speed up that turnaround time too. Joseph Gates, I heard a few weeks ago that SpaceX was planning a propulsive entry on Mars as the atmosphere is too thin for only heat shields. Why not a hybrid approach for entry on Earth? Perhaps propulsive followed by belly flaps. Who told you that? Because I think you can even do a multi-pass. So if I don't know your source on that, but even though the atmosphere is so thin, your relative velocity is still insanely high at Martian intercept, which is why you can use a heat shield. Like, I mean, they do it all the time. Like Mars rovers use a pretty traditional capsule with a pretty traditional heat shield shape, an ablative heat shield, and they re-enter, and they get most of the speed scrubbed off by the atmosphere. And they still have to use parachutes, and they still have to use propulsive landing. Starship will still have to propulsively land in the same way that it lands on Earth, and it'll have to do more propulsive landing because the atmosphere is thinner. But it should be able to easily scrub it down to, suborbital velocity. It might take a shallow pass, then kind of a breather, like it might be like a whoop de doop like that, to be able to get down low enough where you're getting into the thickest parts of the atmosphere at a high enough velocity where it's scrubbing off speed, and then you're still going so fast that your trajectory is kind of like still pulling you back up. You'll pop up over on the other side. I'm talking a lot about just that randomness. And then the final propulsive landing will have to be more substantial because terminal velocity will be a lot higher in the thinner atmosphere. But as far as needing to do a propulsive entry on Mars, now I don't think it needs a propulsive entry. Blackstack, what are the objectives of this flight? It's basically to repeat Flight 5, which is the catch attempt, and Flight 6, which did not do the catch attempt. But plus, we're flying a brand new Starship, the brand new upper stage, as well as they have payload dummies on this thing now. So they're going to be deploying 10 Starlink dummy payload satellites. So that's a pretty big objective. And they're still doing a Raptor relight. And then hopefully see a nice clean touchdown of everything. That would be fantastic. Victor 88, what do you think about the first Mars pioneers won't be the right... What do you think about the first Mars pioneers won't be the right stuff, but those who can survive the trip and set up infrastructure, i.e. Project Hail Mary? I mean, I think it's not going to be a bunch of test pilots this time. It's going to be people that are survivalists, and you'll want a very diversified crew of people with different specialties. It's the classic like sci-fi movie where we have a medic, we have an engineer, we have a guy that's really good at drilling. You're gonna want that on Mars. You're gonna need a crew of 12 people probably with some redundant, hopefully multiple flight surgeons or people that are medically trained. Hopefully multiple pilots, hopefully multiple engineers and scientists that kind of have some overlap in the Venn diagram of skills, but not not just only hardcore test pilots, kind of even Apollo 17 had let's see, that was Gene Cernan, and who is the other one that walked on the moon that was a scientist? That was kind of even by the end of Apollo 17, they weren't just flying pure pilots only. They were actually starting to fly a scientist. I believe that was Apollo 17. Dylan Waits, what is today's flight plan? May you please elaborate and explain it, because I do not know. Yes, we just talked about the objectives of the flight plan. Same thing as Flight 5 and 6, but with the addition of hopefully deploying some Starlink satellites, and hopefully we see a catch, and hopefully we see a clean landing again of the Starship in the Indian Ocean. From Gilgwath, what a name. Hey, Tim, New Glenn was too early in the morning for me. I watched the canned version. What an amazing success. Here's something for the Send Tim's Tacos to Mars Fund. Thank you so much, Gilgwath. That's awesome. Send Tim Tacos to Mars. I appreciate that very much. Caleb Crow. Timelines allow seeing who has good track record of predictions, though it needs to be more detailed, and the unknowns complicate aerospace especially. See, I've learned this even from when we do the spaceflight prediction stuff, because the timelines, I'll think of things that are like, oh yeah, next we'll see maybe a catch or something. And it'll be like, oh yeah, well they stopped trying to do the catch, but they did do this in that amount of time. And I didn't even have that as an option in my head. So it's like, I just have kind of learned to, yes, it's important to kind of have these timelines and milestones, but I get kind of just sick of well, they said they're going to do it in 2 years and it took 4. It's that's everything in aerospace. Everything. Find me one project that said it was going to launch or happen in 5 years and it actually launched in 5 years. It's almost always exactly double. That's just the reality with any company. So I give all the grace in the world when a company says we're hoping to launch it here next year if it takes 2 years. It's just simply the reality. Megan, I should have specified in my previous question. How does it get at Danger Lot? Oh, how hot does it get during Danger Lot? Yeah, during launch. Yes. We'll hopefully do some experimentation because I really like that idea. Zyorol, are they talking about landing Starship on the coast of Western Australia? There's very little population there with the Australian Space Agency. NASA is there now for this landing off the coast. I have heard rumors that they would potentially land Starship on land somewhere else. That is as a kind of interim step. Hey, we can land it that way. We can really study the hardware. and just, keep it there or something. That'd be awesome. How cool would it be if you had to fly to Australia to see the first landed Starship from orbital velocities? That would be very fun. Look at that shot of Mr. T. I'm not Mr. from Mr. T, one of our remote operations setups out there with the hopper, with the rocket. That's fun. Oh man. Yeah, we'll even show you a shot of where Mr. T is. Can you actually see it from the burrito cam? If you can see it from oh, you can. Let me see if I can point it out on screen here. It's to the right of the leg, isn't it? Or is it? Hang on, let me embiggenate this on my screen, and then maybe I'll have a better chance of really seeing it. It is. I think it is to the right of the right landing leg there. Or maybe it's right. Oh, it's right in front of that right landing leg. You can see that's our camera system. Kind of the boxy. It's a trailer that we haul out there with a whole bunch of infrastructure and cameras and batteries, and we leave it there. So that's where that view is coming from. That's fun. So that's the lot, the danger lot, as it was just being referred to. That's the danger lot. That's where this camera is, and you can see a few other cameras from the press right there. Pretty fun. I love this stuff. This makes me happy. What a day for a rocket launch. So casual. Just a world's largest powerful rocket flying. We can just sit here and check it out. Hey Tim, you seem like a guy who looks up quite a bit. Have you ever had a UAP, an unidentified aerial phenomenon experience? I haven't. No, I have not either. Anything that I've ever been like, what is that? I feel like I can pretty quickly Google and find, like, using FlightAware or night sky star tracking apps, be like, oh, that's actually just a planet. Oh, cool, it's Venus. Or, oh, look, it's Starlink. Like, most of the time it's something that you can just identify. Yeah, UAPs, I feel like just the sad reality is the general public just isn't very good at identifying things in the sky. And with like the whole New Jersey drone thing, I think the funny thing is there was like a feedback loop. Once it was reported, a lot more people started looking outside, and they're just reporting like normal planes, like, because they just don't often go look at planes. These things had nav lights. They had red and green for the port and starboard wings and a landing beacon and stuff. It's like, that's not a UAP. That's following federal aviation standards. That's identifiable by the fact that it's using our, it's like, yeah. No, a little bit of Occam's razor is never a bad thing when you're looking up in the sky at night. Zyrol again saying they are talking about landing Starship on the coast. Wait, I already did read that. Sorry if I read that twice. Thank you so much though for your support and for the great question. Callum Curtis, was that not the point of the last test? This will actually what was that not the point of the last test? This will actually overfly the tower and then have to translate back during the belly flop. Yeah, that was not a point of the last test. I mean, that's all tests with all belly flops have done that same belly flop maneuver. And yeah, we basically saw it. I mean, I don't quite understand the question. Because, yeah, it's going to have to overfly the tower. It's going to have to overfly land when Starship comes back. The last test had a Starship landing, as to be expected. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Why don't they do the flip earlier? So I have a question. I have an exact video on that topic, my friend. If you go on over to youtube.com, it's a weird website where weird people like me will occasionally post videos. I have a video called Why Does Starship Belly Flop? And we talk specifically in a lot of detail why it waits until the last second to do the flip. The main reason is the terminal velocity when you're falling on your belly versus falling feet first is substantially different. It's like you go from, if I remember, it's something like 100 square meters of surface area to 600 square meters of surface area with the same amount of mass. Having that much more surface area means you're coming in much, much, much slower. So that's why. And when you're, as soon as you flip, as soon as you're flipping and as soon as those engines are facing down, you don't have that advantage, and you have to now overcome and you want to do it as late as possible too, for the most efficient gravity loss. So you're it's a whole thing. The whole video is like way too deep into that exact question. But yeah, it's more, the answer is it's a lot more efficient to just wait until the last possible moment. And it's still not even the last possible moment. There's actually quite a bit of margin. And if you have to flip anyway and you're relying on that flip, you might as well wait until as late as possible. So Lars Anderson, does SpaceX have plans to implement some kind of escape system for crew or passengers during the landing of the second stage? If the belly flop goes bad, it wouldn't be much fun. You're right, Lars. And the answer that I've ever gotten so far from Elon and other people is they just have to learn to land Starship unbelievably reliably. If you look at landing Starship, if you believe that, let's go through a little thought experiment. The space shuttle did not have any ejection process. It could glide at least like an airplane or like a glider on reentry. It had that capability. It did not have any kind of launch abort, which unfortunately wouldn't have really saved either crew, frankly, on Challenger or Columbia. So if you think of like, okay, but that was still considered, I mean, it wasn't the safest ride to space, but it wasn't the worst ride to space. It was a ride to space. Okay, we'll put that in context. 98.5% success rate. Falcon 9 launch has been phenomenal. It's like way above that now. Its landing rate for Block 5, landing on a single engine, Block 5 Merlin engine, is more reliable than launching and landing on the space shuttle. So let me repeat that. You would be safer to just stand on top of the Falcon 9 booster in a spacesuit, ride it up to space and come back down and propulsively land than you would have been to just ride on the space shuttle. Period. If Starship's design and inherently has a lot more backups, including multiple engine outage scenarios, which has been why Falcon 9 has not been able to land as Block 5 is from like an engine failure. Right there, you already are probably going to end up with a higher success rate of landing over time. So if this thing truly starts flying, with the frequency of Falcon 9 and beyond, which I do expect in the next 5 years, I think it'll start flying more and more and more often. And they really just get that kind of data of like, yeah, we've actually landed where it'd be detrimental to land an even uncrewed one, where they're like, yeah, we've landed like 280 of these in a row and we haven't had any close calls. At that point, it's like, well, yeah. I always like the idea of having some kind of backup, like an ejection system, ejection seats and parachutes or something for some portions of the flight. But is that any good on ascent and et cetera, et cetera? Yeah. Thank you so much for becoming a member. YouTube members are amazing. San, hey, do you think SpaceX will use a launch pad to catch the booster and Starship during the 8th test flight? Launch pad to catch the booster and Starship. Use a launch pad to catch. As in I think by pad, are you saying the tower? Because the goal is to always be catching it with the tower. I don't know if the 8th one will see a catch of Starship yet, but hopefully Flight 8 does for sure again have the catch of a booster, and hopefully we have the catch of Starship. But that might not be until Flight 9 or 10. Jason Silva, question: what are the plans for carrying other cargo? How will they change Starship? They'll change Starship very easily because they have a whole factory. It's stainless steel. There will be variants of Starship. People forget this. They go, well, it's just has this little slot. That's only going to be good for Starlink deployments. Yeah, you're right. That particular Starship will only be good for Starlink deployments. Just like that particular Starship would not be good as a propellant tanker because it has a lot of volume that could have been taken up by propellant. So there will be tankers. There will be depots. There will be Starlink variants. There will be general cargo variants with a big chompy alligator mouth. There'll be landers that land with landing legs on other planets. There'll be versions that have crew that still lands caught on the tower. I mean, there will be so many different versions because there'll be the human landing system. There'll be Mars landers. Starship is kind of like a ecosystem. It's like a brand of rockets by SpaceX. It's not one. In some ways, it is one. One size fits all. But in other ways, it's like there will be variants, all kind of under the Starship little house under one roof. So they will change Starship. They already are making variants like human landing system and tankers. And hopefully we see that hardware coming through the factory here soon. But for now, they're just simply trying to solve and get this thing figured out before they harden their designs and start making Starships that would be outdated. So they're like, hey, let's let's make sure we can really do this whole thing. Let's make sure we can really launch the booster, catch the booster, launch Starship, catch Starship, refly it all, truly. Once we can do that, then we know we can definitely move forward with all of our other plans and all of our other designs. But for now, they got to solve it. These are all just about solving that. Can you do that? Once you can do that, then move on. Eric says, Everyday Astronaut and team, keep a screenshot of this flight's timeline so we don't have to search it compared to Flight 8 and future launches. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Someone screenshot. I'm sure people put that in articles. I'm sure we can just, like, Ars Technica probably, like, did and all this stuff. Yeah. X4R, where can we see Starship during orbit re-entry? So if you were in Australia and you knew exactly where to look, on the very northwest corner of Australia, you might be able to see parts of re-entry. Maybe over Madagascar, if you knew exactly where to look, you might see parts of re-entry. For now, you're not going to be seeing re-entry most likely anywhere. Oopsies. From David, has anyone tried to recover the Starship from the Indian Ocean? China, Russia, India? Hope not. It got blown up pretty good, but yeah, I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know. Rapand, can you show flight path on map? Maybe Andrew, if you can pull up probably the SpaceX.com/launches might have an option. I'll start answering questions, and once I see it on program, I'll try talking about the flight path. We also have our animation that I think we have in. Let's try pulling up our animation. I think it was like Flight 2's animation should still be pretty much the same, except for that it doesn't have the booster catch. It has the booster splashing down. But in Dropbox, we have that live stream /Flight 2, I think. We'll find it for you, and we'll put it up on program, and I'll talk about it when that happens. From Tracy, hi from Northern Ireland. How much roughly does it cost for the launch of each Starship? So currently we don't really know, but I would still guess we're still in the realm of, dozens, maybe up to 100 million right now, just because they're still losing hardware. If each engine is roughly $1 million, which we actually think they might be cheaper than that now, we're looking at least 33 million on the booster. But if those are recovered, how do you in California. Okay, can you hear me now? Is program hearing me? Okay, I don't know. We'll talk anyway. Yeah, sorry for the we had a little problem here. As you can tell, we're having to do things a little bit differently here today because our production trailer that we just built, that was taking what was inside of our van, inside Luna, that runs our shows here. That trailer had to go all the way to California. If you do the math on how long it takes to get back from California to here legally using a commercial driver, it does mean that that's not going to be showing up here until actually pretty much right in the middle of launch. So unfortunately, we're having to do kind of a workaround, and we don't get to rely on the system that we actually built, which sucks because like we built this awesome system, and now it's not even available. Now there's bugs flying around. But that's just for now. Meanwhile, we have a solution. We won't break it again. We know what happened, and we just can't show you the trajectory that we wanted to. So sorry about the fact that you can't see the trajectory. So whoever asked for that trajectory, which was where was that? Rap hand, can you show the flight path on map? No, I cannot, or else our entire stream will explode. That was the answer to that question. Wes Merrill, super cool to see your mission come to life and how amazing the channel has gotten. Still watching and hope all is well. We used to hang at the entrepreneur meetup in Cedar Falls. Oh, very cool. Wes, yes, that's awesome. Dude, well, thank you for saying hi. Very, very cool. I do recall very well, actually. Yeah, I'm very happy that this is the job that I get to have. It's quite amazing to be able to do things like this, to just be able to cover rocket sports as best as possible. And you guys know, I hope everyone here knows, we got 39,000 of you. Ooh, we got venting. That's a good sign. So they're purging some of the feed lines going into the rocket. That's coming out of the launch, the OLM, the orbital launch mount. That's a very good sign, my friends, that they're preparing to get ready to load propellant today. That's a good sign of things to come. I like that. I like our odds here today, my friends. We're still an hour and 15 minutes away, and prop load won't begin for another 20 some minutes, but that's a good sign that we're looking ready to start loading propellant here in the near future. So like I said, I'm just thankful that you guys watch and hang out. And I was talking about this last night. I don't mean to at all complain about it, but it's the algorithm's been very rough to me lately for the last 6 months, 9 years. It's been almost 2 years since a produced video of mine has broken 1 million views. And that used to be the norm. So I don't know what happened on the channel. I'm still producing content at the same rate, about once a month, putting out a video. They might be shorter videos, especially while I'm working on the super long, 2.5 hour long deep dive of the Apollo program. I understand that, the content's been a little bit slower lately than it was, than it has been in the past, just because I'm working on such a monster video. But like, unlike for when I did the Soviet rocket video, I worked on that for like 4 months and didn't put out anything else. I was just solely working on that. So I decided lately, hey, while I'm working on this long video, I'll just make some shorter, fun videos. I had, an interview with Lewis Hamilton. I put out a fun Kerbal video. I put out a video about the Mojave missile. I put out a video about Flight 7, what's new on this. Just shorter videos that are just easy to watch. And the algorithm has been doing me so dirty that so many people are like, I didn't even know you still made videos. What are you talking? I've been making the same once-ish a month since 2017. And I've been streaming maybe once or twice a month since 2017. Yes, the frequency of rocket launches has gone up a lot in that time. A lot. But I'm not going to cover, I'm not news. I'm not your news. If someone goes, Tim, I really miss your stuff. You used to be my go-to for all the rocket news. And I'm like, you were going to me for rocket news? Like, I've never done news. What? The Soviet rocket engine video, like that was about 30-year-old news, like if you're going to me for news, you're probably getting a little bit outdated stuff. But I'm just happy that you're here, and I'm hoping that you still enjoy when I do make content, which is on the same frequency as always. The difference is the quality has gone up a lot, and that takes a lot of effort. So thank you. I love you guys. William Cooper, thank you. From LTB, our tacos on the menu today for you and the crew. Great question. We'll see where the wind takes us this evening. I've been trying to do a new thing where we try new restaurants in the area around launch and like when we were building the trailer. I've tried a lot of new restaurants. I have a new favorite. I have a new favorite restaurant around here. This is now time to officially announce. I hereby declare my new favorite restaurant, because I still love like Hopper House. I've got some favorites, and you know the acai place and all that stuff. But my new favorite is Leo's Indian Food in Port Isabel. Thank you, Leo, for phenomenal Indian food. We finally have something that's not just tacos and fried seafood. Yeah, that's a new staple for me. Leo's Indian Food, Port Isabel. Thank you. Big shout out. If you see this, give me some free naan next time. Stealth Gun 5. Don't know if this has been asked, but do you think the SLS will be scrapped in favor for Starship? I personally think SLS is too expensive and Starship makes more sense. Love your content. Thank you so much, Stealth Gun. With the new administration, I'm worried about the future of SLS. Will they launch it one more time just because they have the hardware and just because they hopefully can? I hope so. I think it'd be a shame at this point to take the Artemis 2 crew that's been training for this mission, take the rocket that's pretty much fully manufactured and it's being assembled as we speak, to then just say, you know what? Let's just back out on $40 billion or whatever it is. I'm a sunk cost fallacy on that. Yes, I want it to happen, to see it fly again with people on top, since that's what it was made to do. But it also is becoming more and more like frustrating. And why do we even have it? I just don't know anymore. It's the next 4 years going to be very interesting with the Trump administration and with Jared Isaacman as the new the head of NASA administrator. I'm not saying I think, I know NASA will do that. Jared would do a phenomenal job as NASA administrator, having worked with him, worked with his team, flown with him, talked to him a lot, been around his people, the people that he surrounds himself with. I really do trust him, and I really think that he has spaceflight and the future of spaceflight and the future of, especially with NASA, like the future of America's spaceflight program. I think he has that in the best interest. And if NASA has to spend ridiculous amounts on SLS, then we're getting very little for how much, 30-some billion dollars so far. And so far, we've got one launch. The opposite is true with Starship. Right now, Starship hasn't really done much as far as like work, right? It's done a lot of testing. It's done a lot of prototypes. But let's say the whole program has maybe cost, including building Starbase, let's just make up a number. Let's say it even has cost $10 billion to date. You can look at like, okay, where is the next $10 billion going to get us in Starship? It will likely, since a lot of the infrastructure is in place, a lot of the hardware, a lot of the everything. By the way, towers venting, I haven't even looked over there. I've been just ranting today. I'm on a rant roll. Towers venting, an even better sign that we're going to be seeing propellant loading up onto the rocket today. Fantastic. Look at those shots, too. How beautiful. I am happy. Okay. If in the next 10 billion would likely get us like thousands of launches. If you literally think about how much Starship might cost, if it's literally the cost is getting down to, 50 million or 10 million, you might, maybe hundreds of launches of Starship, which could be hundreds of thousands of tons of propellant or people or cargo or Starlinks or moon hardware into low Earth orbit. So that would still be half the price of the single SLS launch we've had to date. When you put it like that, you kind of go, okay. I mean, you can make a little bit of that argument for SLS. Now they have some of the parts in place, and the next launches will get cheaper. So by the time they launch the second one, it'll be, we'll probably get 2 launches for something like 40 billion realistically. It's about what 2 launches will cost. 3 will cost, something like 3 for 45 billion. 4 for 50 billion, but we're still talking, even at 4 for 50 billion, you're still talking $12.5 billion per launch. And literally that could be hundreds of Starships. So what's doing more work? 4 SLS rockets with probably an Orion capsule on top going to the moon, or hundreds of Starships? I'll make that face one more time, nice and big. Now you know what we're talking about. F Depot. Hey, Tim, good morning from Perth. Any ideas if we'll see the thermal imaging footage of reentry from NASA tracking planes? Those should be insane to look at. I really hope so. No official word yet on. They do have the Gulfstream up in the air right now. It's not the same WB-57 that they normally use for those tracking, but hopefully they do have an asset that can do some tracking of reentry. And if we get to see that thermal reentry footage, I'll be even happier than I am right now. That would be awesome. FH just became a member. Thank you so much. KT, Everyday Astronaut, have there been any updates to the second launch pad? Do you know if the first use of that will be IFT launch or Starship catch? Yeah, so we kind of talked about this a little bit ago. That we're hopefully going to see the pad here in the next few months. I don't know exactly when, but I'm hoping this summer maybe we'll see pad 2 go online. I don't know if the first use of that be IFT launch. So I think the first use of it will be a launch. I don't think they'd use it they could use it. You know what? If they had the tower done before like the ground was done, I could actually see a world where they used it to catch, say, the booster, and then the other tower catches Starship, and vice versa, or vice versa. If the orbital launch tower part, if the ground tower part wasn't done, like the launch pad part, that could be interesting. Froggy Frog, when do you think we could expect an orbital flight test? I'm thinking within the next few launches. Maybe the next one, hopefully for sure within 2, and I really hope within the next 3 we'll see an orbital launch. That's my timeline. I'm somewhere between 1 and 2. I don't think it'll take 3 from here, so that would make it by flight 10. I hope flight 10 for sure is orbital. I expect flight 9 to be orbital, and I even hope and I'm holding on to a little hope that even flight 8 could go orbital. Thank you so much from Radu Dronka, H2O. Greetings from Finland. Let's catch this one. Absolutely. I really hope so. Tobbs, hi, Tim. If a fatality occurs in spaceflight, how do you think it'll affect public support and progress? Is progress today safer now that more development is privately? Greetings, regards from Denmark. So yes, that would be a hard thing to have to relive through. NASA became a lot more risk averse after the Apollo program, and especially after Challenger. That changed a lot of stuff. And now we have new standards. And with those new standards, we're seeing a lot safer spaceflight. Now, unfortunately, we still had the loss of Columbia, the crew of Columbia. But we're still in a world where we're a lot safer today than we were. And even like how Falcon 9 and even Starliner, how those were certified for flight. And you'll notice, like, people could say, oh, but Starliner is an example that it's still risky. No, Starliner is actually an example of that NASA has plans in place and has standards of, if things aren't looking safe, we're not going to risk our crew, because we're seeing that right now. Instead of seeing them re-enter on Starliner with what could have been a risky re-entry, they didn't risk it. And they said the safest thing is to keep the crew up on station where they can continue doing work and where they're safe. So they're still safely on the ISS and will hopefully come home soon, please. But it does go to show that, like, that go fever and that, that human lives do have a higher standard of tolerances these days compared to, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's how I'd answer it. How would it affect progress? I'm sure it would be a ripple, and I'm sure things would have to kind of step back for a little bit. Christopher Dinsky. Would Starship still be able to conduct re-entry and landing flip properly if Starlink deployment demo fails and they all remain in Starship? I think that would be a really good test for them, because that's kind of part of the flaps. The beauty of the flaps is that they can dynamically adjust to any offsets in in center of pressure, center of mass. And having you'll notice that during re-entry, especially during the belly flop, they're pretty much 45 degrees, meaning both control surfaces are not maxed out. Both of them have wiggle room to make adjustments. So if you have an extra, say, 10 tons in the nose, hopefully the flaps can actually adjust for that. So I would still expect it. That would actually be a really good test. Like, hey, what if we only ejected 5 Starlink satellites, and what if we kept 5 in there? See how it reacts. I would love that test. That'd be awesome. From Blaze, hey, Tim, how will Jared Isaacman's appointment of NASA administrator affect Starship's development, particularly in terms of the Artemis program? Yeah, we kind of went through that a little bit. Sorry, I'm probably way behind. I am way behind. We have a lot. We have 3. Oh, God, I just looked at the number. I should not have looked at the number. I'll answer this by saying we already kind of talked about that. let's keep moving on. Thank you for your question. And let's just lightweight. Thank you, W. Meta 8, Tim Grock knows all the answers, bro, not Google. Yeah. No AI really knows the answers. And I'm sorry. I still do I still just do a quick Google search for most things, even though I do think that's also flawed as well. Nothing beats having enough knowledge to know how to search. That's still an important tool. From Ulrich Tech, wow, so both lighter and more powerful. I think we're talking about V3, which is a long time ago. Are they also more efficient aside from a reduction in weight? Yes, I think they have roughly the same specific impulse. I don't recall if we actually got a new number on that for Raptor 3, but Raptor 3 is just better in absolutely every way. I'm just going to have to skip a few. We had some really good questions, though. Robert, why don't they move the forward flaps back a little more and do away with the complex curve and make the flex point the same as the rear flaps? So, again, I don't know if it's because of the curve area that they're having problems with that. Move it back more. Do away with the complex curve and make the flex point the same as the rear. I don't know. I don't know why they don't do that. I think we'll still continue to see the flaps iterate. Fabio, why does Starship roll to the side right after liftoff? I think some of that is literally so that the tracking assets can study and have good line of sight on all the heat shield tiles. It's also, I think they want to fly it where the flaps are making as little effect aerodynamically as they can. If they fly kind of like belly forward, that would induce quite a bit of lift and quite a bit of torque on the upper stack of the vehicle. So they roll it so that as it's pitching over, it's kind of slicing through the wind and through the air as opposed to flying perpendicular to it. Just a guess. From Saber Saturn, is the New Glenn launch, they said it was orbital. I am guessing that was just suborbital. How was Blue Origin allowed to go orbit when SpaceX isn't? Here's the deal. They went into orbit, yes, very much into medium Earth orbit, not just low Earth orbit. They sent that thing out like 20,000 kilometers. I think it was 19,000 kilometers. So almost over 10,000 miles away. And at a high, the perigee was also very, very high too. So yeah. Why were they able to do that? The reason that Starship has not been able to re-enter and land yet is because in order to re-enter and land Starship, in order to go into orbit, it has to be able to come back down safely because it's just going into low Earth orbit, where eventually, if they wanted to launch Starship far out and just get it far away, they could do that tomorrow if they wanted to. But the fact is, they're loitering in low Earth orbit with a big, massive, 200-ton metal vehicle. If they can't control re-entry of that thing and get it back down safely and precisely, that will be uncontrolled re-entry, potentially overpopulated areas. That could potentially re-enter over here even, or, over anywhere along like the 28-degree latitude, north and south. And so they have to be able to prove safely and over that they can do a Raptor relight, control the re-entry, and come down safely in one piece because of Starship's inherent nature. The fact that it's so big. And so other rockets, in the case of New Glenn, they just sent it out into a graveyard orbit, basically. I don't think they're even trying to do a relight of the upper stage. I think it's just in that graveyard orbit. No one cares. It's not harming anything. It's just out there. The other rockets still try to do a re-entry burn or keep their perigee for their second stage low enough where they'll eject a payload up at apogee at the peak. The payload will do a small orbital increase, and then the rocket itself, the upper stage, it will just re-enter intentionally back, in the Indian Ocean or somewhere where it's safe to re-enter. That's kind of why. By the way, guys, we are less than an hour away. Do we have any updates? Any updates from Starship or anything? I'm seeing thumbs up. Those are good updates. Thumbs up from, we're playing some mimes. What are we doing? This is charades now? We went from time to this. Movie. Interstellar. Short Circuit. So they're trying to tell me that prop load is happening soon. Yeah, we're coming up on prop load here in roughly, is it 50 minutes or 45? I forget. I should just look up the official booster fuel load is at 45 minutes and 54 seconds. So we're within 13 minutes, less than 13 minutes from starting to put fuel on the ship, and that is fantastic. Oh man, I'm starting to get chills. Here we go. I'm talking loud, and my throat's gonna hurt, and I'm gonna have a sore throat tomorrow. Thank you, Moritz Jenny, for your donation. Jimmy 1992. How much fuel does the booster burn in a second during liftoff, in human metric system terms? I don't know the precise amount, but we could actually work backwards from the rocket equation if we wanted to. We know the specific impulse, we know the thrust. We could figure out the mass flow, and then times it by 33. I think I've run that before. Hang on, I might actually have that somewhere. Let me see. Hopefully I don't crash something by doing this. Oh, I'd have to be on a whole other Google account and stuff. I don't know that number. That is a number we could calculate. It's probably, let me take a rough stab at this, per second. It's several tons. Several metric tons of propellant are being burnt every second. Well, I mean, we could rough this by saying it burns, there's about 1,000 tons, there's about 2,000 tons in the booster, right? And it burns for roughly altogether, we'll call it 2.5 minutes, because those reentry burns are fewer engines. We'll say it let's just divide by 2. I'll give you a very rough 60 seconds times 2 is 120, obviously. Hang on, why am I not? Give me my calculator. Let's just make up some numbers. 2,000 tons divided by, we'll say 130 seconds. I don't know. 15 tons, somewhere around of 10 to 20 tons a second would be my very literal napkin math amount of propellant per second, which is wild when you think about it. That was a good question. Obamium. Hey, Tim, been watching your content since Falcon Heavy in 2018. Let's hope this booster gets caught. Thank you so much. Long-term viewership. Greatly appreciate it. You are awesome. Douglas Rushbrook, thank you so much for the generous support. Louis Souza became a member. Thank you very much. This is from James Ian Buntug. Hi, Tim. Avid fan of yours since your orange spacesuit era. Holy cow, you're OG from Philippines. Let's go, Starship. Thank you for bringing us 4K coverage. You are welcome, James. I'm glad that we've got a solution that is working, holding together, despite the fact that our production trailer is about 1 hour away from being delivered back here from California. Ironic, but I'm really proud because of our infrastructure here and our team. We had to split our crew up. We had half of our crew in California, half of our crew stayed here. And because of the investments we've made in our system, we were able to kind of still cobble something together. And I'm actually really impressed with how well it's holding up. So it's been awesome. I love these challenges. Are kind of fun. It kind of makes for a fun experience. And what I'm also excited for is our audio engineer, Andrew Keating, is going to actually be able to see his first Starship launch today. He's been out here for years, 3 years, and he has not yet been able to see one because he's always been controlling the audio here for our launch live stream. So in a way, this is almost like a thank you to Andrew Keating to be able to see one finally with his own eyes. I did pull him out. I think flight 1, I was like, guys, come see this. And he ran out and poked his head out and then ran back and kept running the show. So it's pretty wild. And I'm really glad that this seems to be working pretty well. So our apologies if things aren't perfect. Yeah, we'll just make sure that Andrew never tries to go to dropbacks during the stream for some reason. That's the secret code that explodes everything. We will not do that again. But so please forgive us a little bit here if this stream isn't perfect. This does not reflect the rest of our streams because we are doing things completely different today. And future streams are awesome because that system has been so proven out now. And our new trailer, we'll do a tour again. Like I said, I'll be filming a tour. I was filming a little bit of the build. We'll do a full tour of the trailer. We'll do a full tour of our gear and a whole rundown here. Sometime after I get to take a little break after Astro Awards and maybe the next Starship launch, I'll film even more stuff and we'll do a full tour of all of our gear, our trackers, our people. By the way, Keating, can you make sure on that note, I would love shots from over the shoulder, straight back of the 2 trackers downstairs on just a phone, like on a phone tripod or something, because we didn't have that last time. I really want to see all screens and the operators doing it during the launch. Just a phone recording. Yeah, I know. I forgot because we forgot to do it in flight 6. Even a GoPro or something would be great. Yeah, I'm giving out instructions at T minus 53 minutes, which, by the way, means we're getting darn close to prop load. Again, prop load is going to begin at T minus, basically, we'll call it 56 minutes. So we're only about 6 or 7 minutes away. The tower's venting beautifully. We're getting closer and closer to seeing this thing launch again today, which makes me so excited. How can you not be stoked about this? Oh, this is awesome. All right, so when hop, this is a little bit more than a hop. This is a big hop, a hop on over to the Indian Ocean. We're at T minus 52 minutes, as you can see there. Thank you so much, Lewis, for your support. Joshua Blick, how many Starship launches are you expecting during 2025? My number is 12. Maybe my number is 12. I think it'll average out to once a month. Although we're seeing already one in January, I think we'll average out to once a month. There might be one that takes 2 months, and there might be 2 in a month. I think 12 in 2025, plus or minus 3. So I hope for more than 9, and I would be very surprised if it's more than 15. That's my number. Thank you for your support. Jeff Sawyer, the stream last night was a lot of fun. It really was. I had an awesome time. That was super fun. Dane Cotessa, this is a pretty cool to watch. I'm currently taking CS50, and for my problem set 0, I made a SpaceX game where you land the booster at the orbital launch tower. That is awesome. I don't know what most of that means, Dane, but thank you so much for your donation. I also, when I was taking CS50 and when I had my problem set 0, I didn't do any of that. That sounds amazing. Please keep up the great work. Fool with a VTX, a crap spaceship because they only aimed for orbit. Dude, whoever wrote this, don't worry, one day you'll find someone. The aim was to not explode. You're absolutely right. That was in reference to me talking about the New Glenn launch where someone was like, it just went to orbit. Like, yes, that's awesome. That's the point. That is the point. And yet we still love this rocket, even though this rocket doesn't get to orbit yet. Ooh, major venting down on the pad. That is, yes, they are spooling up, baby. We're getting closer and closer. I'm getting more and more excited, as you can probably hear in my voice. I need this. I need this to launch. I need to get home to fix a few and get a few more things ready for Astro Awards before I come down to Austin. I'm loving this. I am hoping this would be great. My life would feel awesome if this thing launches and it gets caught today and I can just leave tomorrow, get some work done for the Astro Awards, have the Astro Awards next weekend, get back to work on the Apollo video, finish that up, take a vacation for like a week. That would be awesome. I would love to go on an actual human vacation. The last 3 months have been insane, so that would be great. After the Astro Awards, I'm going to need a break. And speaking of, I have a message from my friend Brian McManus from Real Engineering saying he's going to be at Astro Awards. Thank you, Brian, for the confirmation. I've got tickets for you, so yeah, I've got them set aside. We'll take care of you. So you can join Brian McManus and the crew of Polaris Dawn and Charlie Duke and not Joe Bernard. He has another commitment, sadly. Not Joe Bernard, but Scott Manley and Joel and Tegza and Zyla Foxland and Eric Berger and John Krause and Jack Beyer from NSF and a lot of people. A lot of people are coming to the Astro Awards, including people from SpaceX and people from Robert Zubrin. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on for amazing people. Yeah, the astronaut Charlie Duke. This is going to be amazing. So yeah, if you want to join us to celebrate spaceflight and human achievement and humans doing awesome things, go to astroowards.live. Get your tickets right now. Astroowards.live. We are almost sold out. We're sold out of all of the VIP packages, and we just have, it's a full weekend now. It's 2 full days of panels, entertainment. We even have a party on Saturday night with live music. So come see that. Astroowards.live, Austin, Texas, January 25th and 26th. We'll see you there, especially like if I expect a big turnout from my SpaceX people, from people down here at Starbase. I know there's a bus going from Starbase up. I know there's people at McGregor going from McGregor down to Austin. We got a lot of SpaceX Texans. I expect a big turnout from my Firefly folks. Where are you guys at? And then what I like is it's the professionals and the public coming together to celebrate and hang out and just do cool things together. That's what the Astro Awards are all about. Bringing the public and the professionals and celebrating human achievement. That's what I'm talking about. People be peopling. Yeah, they were. I'm way behind, aren't we? Um, feed me kittens. I will not. I will not. David Lynch died. Oh, I didn't know about that. Dang. Thank you for saying hi again. Tall Spiffy Fish. Super Cyan Sigma Rocket. Thank you for your support. Adrian Walkenhorst, have enjoyed your channel since the day you were running around in a spacesuit. Seriously, can't wait to see you take off on one of these. Do you plan on taking the orange suit with you to this? So I've got some bad news for you, Adrian. I ain't going on that thing no more. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm not. The Deer Moon was canceled, so I made a big statement about it. There was a big statement about it too from the Deer Moon people. That all just got canceled, and oh, read the rest. Oh, Brian from Real Engineering had an additional. I love you too, Brian. And although he says I look very handsome, I'll just always say that you always look very handsome, good sir, whenever I see you. So I just know that's a fact. I don't even have to see you on stream or on camera to know that fact. Oh, I love Brian. He's great. We've been doing some racing, some sim racing, and some Coda karts when I'm in Austin. It's been a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, no Deer Moon. Sorry to break it to you there. I did have a statement on social media and stuff, and you can go find that again. But from Aporarium, which rocket sounds best? In my opinion, it's hard to beat the rumble and the sheer volume of Starship, just because it's the world's most powerful rocket. It's hard to beat that. But I do think SLS sounded really cool with those massive solid rocket boosters. There's something extremely guttural about the way solids hit. They just like really are percussive. The Raptors are much smoother running, and you just feel like, even though it's even more thrust, about double the thrust yet of, not quite double the thrust of SLS, it just has this. It sounds a little smoother, but still very rumbly. I don't know. I like, honestly, all rockets sound the best. I think the rockets just sound better the closer you are. So yeah. Tim Hermsen. Hi there, mate. Super excited for today's launch and watching from the Netherlands. You're my space hero watching from day one. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and continuing to tune in. I do sincerely, greatly appreciate you and everyone else watching today. You guys are awesome, and it does mean a lot. And I'm, again, very proud of our team here and our mods and all of our people that help out. It's awesome that, again, that we were able to pull together a great stream, still a 4K stream today, despite some major logistical challenges. Very proud of everyone. Dang. Okay. A lot of my friends are getting back to me all of a sudden about Astro Awards. Sounds like Astro Awards is going to be packed, because I'm having even my friend Caitlin talking about maybe coming. Caitlin, if you're listening still, if you and Jamie are interested in coming, I will have tickets set aside for you guys too. I will take good care of you. That is so cool. That makes me very happy. I've got a lot of my friends even coming from home to come to the Astro Awards. It's going to be awesome. Acidic Silver, not the biggest fan of Bezos, but the launch was dope. And he also wished Elon luck today. I love that. That is the bromance, the space bromance I've wanted, the billionaire bromance. Elon and Bezos both congratulating and saying, great work on both rockets. It made me, like, I kind of get a little teary-eyed when I think about kind of people that are coming together, especially over their common love of spaceflight. I would love if Bezos and Elon actually became friends, because I got to tell you, I hadn't really met Bezos at all before I did that tour with him. He was awesome. If you haven't watched the video of the tour of Blue Origin's New Glenn factory with Jeff Bezos, maybe you just thought, like, I've seen the Starbase tours. Elon knows his stuff. Why would they put Jeff Bezos in there to do these? What's the point of that? Trust me, Bezos knows his stuff. He knows his rocket very, very well too. And it was great. He was a lot of fun to talk with, very passionate, very proud, and very knowledgeable. Really, and I'm not saying that, like, people are like, how much is he paying? Stop that. I enjoyed it. You can tell I enjoyed it. Watch the video. I had a great time. I also have a great time when I'm going and seeing Stoke Space, and when I'm going and talking to Ursa Major, and I'm going like, there's cool people doing cool things. People do the good stuff. You choose which way you go in life. Great sentence. Just be positive. Just enjoy it. I'm giving you free content, and you can just smile and say, that was cool. You're right, Tim. Thank you, Luke, for your support. Iceman X Soul. Yeah, but New Glenn didn't make a live-action recreation of KSP, unlike Starship. Now, that's the way I'm going to start thinking about rocket launches these days. How Kerbal was it? Was it good Kerbal? Was it bad Kerbal? All Kerbal's good. So, by the way, we're in prop load. I'm flying through this. I'm not even half paying attention because I'm just too excited. We are into prop load now. We are no longer seeing venting. So, yeah, we're looking fantastic here. Lines are cold. Look at that. You can just see how cold the propellant lines are there on the quick disconnect on the upper QD there that fills Starship. So Starship, by the way, for reference here, Starship is considered, the whole system's called Starship, but also like it's really just that upper stage. The upper stage is Starship, and technically the booster is super heavy booster. So you can kind of look at this and say that's Starship. That makes sense. But really, when we often say like, you have to use context clues. Like it might be like, yeah, when Starship lands, you're referring to the upper stage. When Starship's in orbit, you're referring to the upper stage. If you say like, yeah, Starship's on the pad, you're kind of referring to the whole system. So it's confusing, but it's undergoing propellant load, and that is a great sign. That is a great sign. I'm surprised. I'm seeing people like Derek in chat asking, when is liftoff? We have it on the screen for you. Right there. Just look in the top left corner of your screen. We have a thing called a countdown showing you that we're T-minus just under 41 minutes. That's when liftoff is. That's what the liftoff, that's what the countdown is. The T-minus is a countdown to when the rocket takes off. Gina, thanks for all the hard work and looking forward to seeing everyone at Astro Awards. Yay, Gina. Thank you so much for your support, and also thank you for going to be at Astro Awards. Kenneth Johnson, remember when SpaceX played Bowie on stream for Falcon Heavy fairing SEP? If you were in charge of songs, what song would you play the first time Starship lands alongside Booster? Shout out to DJ Manley, by the way. Yes, Scott Manley's going to be doing a DJ set, as his name infers on X. What song would I play? Would it be selfish to say I'd want one of my own songs to play? That'd be very fun. Yes, it would be. I would go for like I would love like a Sigur Rós song or something. Something epic and beautiful. I think that'd just be really fun to see something like that. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that right now, but it'd probably be something like kind of epic and orchestral almost, and not necessarily like Starman was cool though for that moment, I gotta say. From Ologies D, or I'm totally mispronouncing that. The Blue Origin launched this morning. It was really slow off the pad. Was that because of the payload? BE4 thrust to weight ratio. Starship seems faster. Is there optimizations for BE4? So hopefully it wasn't because of the payload. They had a very light payload. If it was that slow because of a light payload, what's going to happen when it's a heavy payload? The reality is I think they just still have some optimizations for BE4 to give it a higher thrust to weight ratio. They will get a lot more work done on that rocket when those BE4s can produce more thrust. So if they start upgrading the BE4, which I believe there's room to do, or if they could add 9 BE4s, which would require a major redesign because their landing legs and the whole aft section is designed around, fitting the landing legs between the 6, outer perimeter engines. I don't know. I can see a little bit of. I can see them tweaking and upgrading the thrust of BE4 first, which would be a good goal for them to do. But for now, they're flying. They have an orbital rocket. They'll be able to do a lot of missions with that, and we can hopefully just see them slowly iterate. Maybe after 10 flights or something, we could see an upgrade on the thrust levels. That would be awesome because it was like below 1.1 at liftoff, which is very slow. Starship, on the other hand, is a thrust to weight ratio of like 1.5 to 1. It leaps off the pad. So, yeah, and it is more efficient, believe it or not. It's more efficient to leave the ground. I know it seems it might seem intuitive, it might seem counterintuitive. but the faster the faster you're accelerating against gravity, the less you're wasting to gravity, because gravity is always going to be pulling you down with 9.8 meters per second squared, right? So that first G of acceleration is always so picture it this way. You could run an engine and produce 0.9, G of acceleration, but since that's less than 1, your thrust to weight ratio is less than 1, you're just wasting propellant. You're not leaving the ground even. You're just sitting there, propellant's flowing out of your rocket, and you're just wasting and wasting and wasting propellant. By the way, as soon as SpaceX is live, we're going to be pulling them up here. So it might be, I hear that their stream is starting to go live soon. I like to listen into the SpaceX stream, and we'll be putting SpaceX kind of side by side with us. By the way, pro tip, if you're thinking, oh, I'll just watch it on YouTube, I'll just pull up the space. They don't stream to YouTube. Any stream that is on YouTube that says SpaceX is fake. It'll have a QR code. It'll probably be some restream or re-upload of like flight 5 or 6. It is not live. Don't fall for it. Don't be that person. We will have, that was really loud in my ears. I'll turn that down a little bit. We're going to have the SpaceX stream on our stream so that you can tune in with us as well. So you won't have to go anywhere. We're going to be a one-stop stop, and we're going to bring you the best coverage we can with 4K cameras, with me listening in and learning with you guys. You won't miss a beat if you're watching with us. So just keep that in mind. And we're still T-minus 36 minutes, my friends. So the fact that SpaceX is about to go live is a very good sign. And by the way, I did want to point out, maybe, I don't know if the RoboCam operators can hear me or not. Since we don't have our normal comm system, they can't hear me. I would love to see the frost rings, kind of an up and down of the rocket. Checking out the frost rings would be great. Sorry, I'm like literally yelling to them because we don't have our intercom system. Look it, yelling works too. Yelling works just as well. So you can see propellant literally loading up into the ship and on the booster. So that's, you can see the fuel and the liquid oxygen tanks filling up as we speak. You can literally see the frost line because that inside the tanks, as it's filling, as the liquid's filling, you can see where it's, on the other side of that wall is very, very, very cold cryogenic propellant. So liquid oxygen, liquid methane. And that's awesome. That's so fun that you have a visual representation of how quickly it's filling. So when we zoom back out and look at another shot, you can tell that you'll watch that grow. We'll check back in on that here in a little bit, but it is just fun to see that you can actually watch the propellant fill. So holy crap, this is looking fantastic. Willie Olson became a member. Thank you so much. Lo and a Papa. Loanda Papa or Loanda Papa. Love the coverage as always, but can you please consider making the countdown count larger? On mobile, it's unreadable despite the design aesthetic. Yeah, we can do a little bit. We can, our graphic designer will kill me if I change it, but we can do a little bit. I do understand that it's slightly hard to read, but it just looks so good on a TV. It just looks too good on a TV, and that's kind of what we're aiming for. I don't actually know how to do this right now, honestly, so I probably shouldn't mess with it. But in the future, oh, here we go. I'm going to bump it up a tiny bit, and if I get murdered later on, okay, I just messed it up. Oh, God. Oh, God. I shouldn't have touched anything. I'm just going to refresh. If I refresh, by refreshing, everything goes away. Yeah, I don't know how to touch it. I'm not doing anything. Sorry. You're going to have to live with the beautiful aesthetics that we have decided to aim for. I know on mobile it's not fantastic, but I'll just give you audio. We are T-minus 34 minutes as we speak for the next liftoff of Starship Flight 7, hopefully featuring another booster catch. It is a beautiful day out there. I'm looking out the window right now. I see blue skies. Our cameras see blue skies. This is the one. I am ready for this. I need this. I need to see it catched. If they catch this thing today, good luck. Good luck to everyone's ears because I'm going to be screaming. I can't wait. Peter, I was thinking of your old videos on Starship lack of an abort system. Do you think Starship could use a Gemini-style ejector seat system for early flights during the flop? Perhaps with an XB-7. Ooh. We have SpaceX. I don't know if you guys are hearing, but we're going to listen into them.
Texas, and it is a beautiful and breezy afternoon for another flight around the world. I'm Kate Tice, Senior Quality Systems Engineering Manager at SpaceX, and I'm joining Dan for my first ever in-person Starship launch at Starbase.
Awesome.
You can see the rocket behind us. It's mind-blowing. This is quite the view, Dan.
No better seat in the house, no better thing to talk about a rocket as you watch it launch. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Starbase for another Starship launch. I'm Dan Hewitt from SpaceX Communications. We are at T-minus under 33 minutes and counting. Our T0 time coming a little after the bottom of the hour. Now, Starship program has brought us nonstop excitement back in 2024. This year shaping up to be even bigger.
Absolutely. We're looking at even more launches of Starship this year with tons of exciting firsts starting today. Flight 7 has a lot in store, from Starship's next generation upper stage design on its first flight today to deploying the first simulated Starlink satellites and the second booster catch attempt. We're kicking off 2025 in style here in the Lone Star State. So hold on to your butts because it's going to be a wild year.
And it's all ramping up as we chase after that full reusability for the world's biggest rocket. And we're going to be with you today every step of the way. Also joining us, though, amid a very excited crowd growing over there in Hawthorne, is Jesse Anderson. Jesse, how's everything going in LA?
Hey, Dan and Kate, everything is all good here on the factory floor. We're just outside of Mission Control, and we're T-minus 31 minutes away, but we already have a really big crowd here building. There you go. Starting to build up here. Every flight of Starship has made huge progress, and today is another exciting one. We're joined by Starship, Raptor, and Starlink teams here with me today, and everyone is getting super excited for this flight test. So with that in mind, I expect it to get very loud in here soon. But for now, I'm going to hand it back over to you guys at Starbase for a quick look back at the flights that brought us here today.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. Now, the more we fly safely, the faster we learn, the sooner we realize full and rapid reuse. The previous 6 flight tests proved we're on the right track. Each one of those tests provides a ton of invaluable data and, of course, some pretty great views along the way.
Oh, yeah. Every one of those tests informed the upgrades that are debuting on today's flight test. And, you know, we've all been watching this, following through the incredible testing campaign for every flight. And, man, I can't wait for today as well as everything else we've got planned this year.
Just a recap of what happened just before this flight test. Our most recent one was back in November 19th. That was Flight 6. It lifted off at 4 p.m. Central from Starbase, Texas, just a couple miles over our shoulder.
It was a gorgeous sunset ascent. Let's take a look.
Attention all flight crew members, flight is go for launch.
So I'm actually thinking maybe I should talk over this one because it's probably going to have copywritten music now that I think about that. So I'm excited because I think we're hopefully going to learn a little bit more about the new Starship design, because there's a lot of things on it that are actually quite surprising. So there's, I mean, even so many things like more cameras, and I feel like we already have amazing cameras. There's over, like I said, up to 30 cameras now on Starship. That's incredible. And like 100 and something megabytes per second. And it was in megabytes, not megabits. But yeah, I'm going to kind of listen in here. Once this video is already posted, you can find this on their X and on YouTube. They actually did post this on their YouTube channel, which is unusual. But they had Raptor relayed on Flight 6. We're hoping to see that again today. We're hoping to see a beautiful reentry today. This new ship hopefully just looks even better when it comes back in, and I hope that we get another buoy cam that proves that they are, able to land precisely. This shot that we're about to see right here coming up, this shot, I hope when it lands, it looks even better than it does in this shot right here, because that was amazing. That it obviously landed close enough to their target. They said it landed exactly as they expected, but this new Starship should be even looking better with less stress. A lot of tiles fell off of this one. It was looking pretty close when you see it up close and when you kind of really study it. So, man, I'm ready for it.
This flight test is going to look pretty similar profile-wise to that last one and honestly the last couple. So Everything starts off, as always, with liftoff. The Super Heavy igniting those 33 Raptor engines. Super Heavy gonna power us through that initial ascent, get Starship on its way to space before we get to the hot stage maneuver.
Exactly. The ship will then ignite engines while it's still attached to the booster. That will allow us to separate the two stages. That booster will leave a few engines on for that flip and return back here to Starbase for a catch at the launch tower.
And while booster catch is blowing our minds, ship keeps going all the way to space, gets into its suborbital trajectory. Got a couple on-orbit things. We're going to deploy our first test satellites. Also going to relight a Raptor engine while in space. That all sets us up then for re-entry.
As we have seen on the previous flights, courtesy of Starlink, that re-entry period gives us such gorgeous views. It's like, you know, just a rainbow flow of colors as the ship re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. The ship will relight its engines, perform a flip maneuver for a soft water landing in our targeted location in the Indian Ocean. And that will once again be daylight given our later launch window. So today's flight test will be launching the next generation of Starship. It'll attempt the first payload deployment test, fly multiple re-entry experiments geared toward ship catch and reuse, and of course, the launch and return of the Super Heavy booster back to the launch site right there behind us.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing, but ship, kind of the star of the show for a lot of stuff today. A huge block of upgrades to Starship's upper stage are debuting on this flight test, adding more capability. We'll start off up top. Those forward flaps got a redesign. They shrunk in size. We shifted them towards the top of the vehicle, away from the heat shield. That's going to make it significantly less exposed to re-entry heating. And then Starship itself, we made it about 2 meters taller. So we stretched it up to about 52 meters. That allowed us to add 25% more propellant volume, along with a bunch of propulsion upgrades like vacuum jacketing of those feed lines to the engines, an entirely new feed line system for the Raptor vacuum engines, an improved avionics module for propulsion, all that adding performance and the ability to fly longer missions.
And just like on Flight 6, tiles have been purposely removed to stress test vulnerable areas. This time we're doing it across the entire vehicle, including in critical areas, as we use this flight to push the boundaries of Starship's capabilities. And for re-entry experiments, multiple metallic tiles are being tested, as you can see there on your screen, including some that have a version with active cooling.
Then the vehicle's avionics, its brains, got a complete redesign. Cool. Some of the new things, we've got 4 of these upgraded Starlink terminals that combine Starlink, global navigation, and RF communications into a single unit. And then on the sides of the vehicle, we have these catch fittings. They're non-structural, but we're going to be able to see how they perform thermally during re-entry. We also smoothed part of that tile line to address some hot spots that we saw during entry on the last flight.
Now the ship and the booster, they weren't the only thing to get some upgrades. On the ground side, several radar sensors will be tested on the tower catch arms as we experiment with additional ways to measure distance between the arms and the vehicle while we prepare for ship catch. Now this is just a handful of the many upgrades included on this flight that make this the most capable Starship that we've flown so far.
And then something really cool has me super excited. We're going to be deploying 10 Starlink simulators that are similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. With pretty unparalleled payload capacity and full reusability, Starship's going to be able to deploy our more advanced V3 Starlink satellites, which is going to help us continue to revolutionize global connectivity. Each of those Starlink V3 launches on Starship is going to add about 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. And that alone is that's more than 20 times the capacity we're getting with every V2 Mini flight on a Falcon 9 right now. That just helps further Starlink's impact in the coming years as we expand access to high-speed internet all around the world and eventually beyond. And those Starlink simulators are going to be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship, and they're expected to demise upon entry. Starship itself, its trajectory looks very similar to all of our last several flights, suborbital, splashdown targeted into the Indian Ocean, a couple 100 miles off the western coast of Australia. And then the other on-orbit thing we're doing is going to be relighting a single Raptor engine while in space. We knocked that out last time. V2 ship, new propellant system. Let's do it again on this one.
Ship's going to be busy. Now, of course, we can't forget to add that today's super heavy booster is reflying flight-proven hardware for the first time. A Raptor engine that flew on the booster that was caught during Starship's 5th flight test. You can see it there on your screen. This flight-proven engine, we've got Raptor 314 there, hence why there's a piece of pie on this nozzle. Maybe we can get that image rotated so you can see it a little bit better. Yep. There we go. If you didn't already know, we like our jokes around here. So that's what we have planned for today's flight test. And so far, everything is on track as we continue to count down. We're now within 23 minutes of launch. We're at 22 minutes and 52 seconds. Everything continues to look good. Still a little breezy, but that's okay for us.
Yeah, we set up our desk in a wind tunnel today. It's probably windier here than it is anywhere else, but weather's cooperating, really clear skies, no rain today, still well within our limits for booster launch or catch. Not tracking any issues on vehicle as we continue to count down. We're still loading prop on board. Our range team also reporting that the range looks like it will be clear at our current T0. So that's super important. We're going to keep an eye on that all the way up to the end.
As for what we've already done with the vehicle leading up to today, we stacked the vehicle over the weekend. We lifted the ship on top of the super heavy booster. Hours ago, we cleared the site of all personnel. And of course, our flight controllers came on console, some of them sitting in the building behind Dan and I. And as Dan mentioned, the range team was deployed. They are standing by in the Gulf to make sure that the booster has a clear to return back to here at the launch tower, but also they are located in the Indian Ocean, standing by to make sure that the targeted landing zone for the ship is also clear as well.
And then we knock out a whole bunch of things in the hours before launch. We do an alignment on all the guidance, navigation, and control. We did tank purges, pressure checkouts, make sure we were ready for prop load, check the booster, quick disconnects, and the ship one. We demate the chopsticks. We actually do a little wiggle check on them, make sure we have control, as we're going to be using those for catch. Load up all of the hydraulics that are on the tower, and then we did the initial locks and methane chills, getting them ready for prop load.
Now, speaking of prop load, we conducted the go, no-go poll for prop load at 3:30, so a little bit less than an hour ago. All was good there. Prop load is underway. The LOX load on the booster started at T-minus 45 minutes, and fuel started at T-minus 43 minutes. Booster fuel will start at T-minus 41 minutes, and then locks on the booster started at T-minus 35. So that will all wrap up at T-minus 3 minutes and 20 minutes on the ship side, and at T-minus 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the booster side. So everything is looking good. Propellant is loading.
Yeah, looks like we're about half full of everything on booster, 3/4 of the way there on ship. Looking good for a launch today. With that, though, let's jump over. Let's check back in with Jesse.
I feel bad that I'm going to be interrupting Jesse. But I actually want to just compliment the SpaceX feed so far. I love that they've given us all these updates and graphics on things that they've updated. It's so cool that like things are literally changing and getting fixed up and being worked on every single time the rocket is launching. You can see pad tower 2 in our shots here, kind of cutting away to the QD there, the quick disconnect. And you can tell that we're getting closer and closer and closer to launch just by how full it is. I'm also really excited. This is Kate Tice, who's been a SpaceX engineer. She's been a commentator with SpaceX and an engineer there. More importantly, she's an engineer, but she's also been on streams for a long time, since I can remember. I feel like 2014, even 2015, she's been a commentator. So for her to be able to see Starship is going to be really fun, because she said she's never seen one here before. It's going to be awesome. I'll bet she's going to freak out, and it'll be really fun. And I'm really happy for her. So a lot of really cool things happening today. T-minus 18 minutes, just under T-minus 19 minutes, and everything is looking good. The excitement is increasing. We have a million questions from you guys, and I really, really hope to be able to get to all of them. I'll do a couple here real quick, and just a quick thank you again to everyone that supports the channel here, between your super chats and to your super chats, the people that are supporters on, YouTube members, X subscribers, Patreon supporters. It makes such a huge difference. We have a ton of stuff that we're working on right now with Everyday Astronaut. a ton of videos coming out. I've got a 2.5 hour long video coming out that will be done in the next few months. I promise. It's the deepest dive I've ever done with the specific topic of how do we know humans went to the moon? How did NASA take humans to the moon? It's really an engineering deep dive as much as it is like any kind of answer to conspiracy theories. It's not really about that. It's really more like, here's how. Like, here's the proof of, like, here's the engineering. Here's the rocket equation on each stage. Here's how the footage was handled. Here's how the radiation was handled. Here's all of the cool, exciting things that got humans to the moon in the 60s. And I have worked so hard on that video, and I can't wait to get it out. But it's all thanks to you guys, because I've been working on it for 7 months. It's like 60 pages. It's been months of research, months of shooting, months of editing already. So thank you guys so much for all of you that do watch and tune in. I greatly appreciate it. And we are just so close here to another historic and exciting mission. I hope to see a catch today. I missed Flight 5's catch. If there is a catch of the booster, let's party, my friends. This is what I'm talking about. This is a future that I'm excited for. And I love that we're sitting here watching the progress in real time. The world's biggest, most powerful rocket. They're working on trying to do something incredibly ambitious, trying to make it fully and rapidly reusable. Step by step, we're making tweaks. We're seeing those tweaks happen in real life, in real time. This is awesome. So I just had to take a quick little break from the screen, and we'll listen back in and just listen to the computers. But I just had to thank you guys for watching. It means a lot to me. There's only so much more I can say right now. So get ready. We'll listen in here, see what SpaceX has to say.
Which is crazy, because turning around and looking at it and thinking that it's going to be bigger, that's mind-blowing.
Make the ship as tall as the booster.
Now, moving up the rocket, the ship features 6 Raptor engines. 3 optimized for sea level performance and 3 optimized for vacuum performance. Raptor Vacuum, or RVAC, is a similar design to the Raptor engine, but features a larger exhaust section and a larger expansion nozzle to maximize the engine's efficiency in space. Our upgraded ship that we're debuting today carries about 300 more tons of propellant than the last flight's ship, bumping it up from 1,200 metric tons to about 1,500 metric tons. It's a lot. The ship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface. Now, the ship is also outfitted with newly redesigned forward flaps that are used to aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable a precision landing. The new flaps are lighter and positioned more leeward or away from the heat shield.
Now, to reach full reusability, the ship has to be able to survive re-entry not just one time, but multiple times. The ship's heat shield is essentially what does the job for that. We've been iterating on that every single flight, building towards that heat shield that requires no refurbishment between flights. Now, the heat shield is composed of thousands of hexagonal ceramic tiles. They're designed to insulate the vehicle during that atmospheric entry where temperatures ramp up to as high as about 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. A rapidly reusable heat shield has never been flown in history, so continuously improving this, flying new experiments, those are all key focuses of all of our flight tests right now.
And in between the first and second stages is our hot stage, which we saw in actions on flights 2 through 6. The hot staging maneuver is when the upper stage engines are ignited before the booster engines, before those booster engines are completely cut off. With hot staging, the rocket never stops accelerating during separation, so it's more efficient than traditional stage separation. One of the hallmarks of Starship flights are the incredible views that we get throughout flight, of course, courtesy of Starlink. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network, both on Earth and in space. Here's Jesse with more.
Fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you lots of unprecedented views, both from space and here on Earth. In addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, we also have mobile Starlink camera kits deployed in the Indian Ocean, connected to our aerial assets and all around Starbase, which all come together to help tell the incredible story of Starship, both on and off planet. Thanks to Starlink, Starship is capable of streaming more than 120 megabits of real-time, high-definition video and telemetry in every phase of flight, providing invaluable engineering data to help engineers rapidly iterate across all systems. And all of that streaming data will be put to good use with the more than 30 cameras on the vehicle for today's flight test. Starlink
awesome.
is the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth orbit to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet, providing access to people around the world, many who have never had connectivity before. Starlink now serves more than 119 countries, territories, and other markets. And here at SpaceX, we've been developing Starlink's communication capabilities not just for humans on Earth, but for astronauts in space. Our recent Polaris Dawn mission, we deployed a high-speed internet connection in Dragon for the very first time. Here's a quick look at how that went.
Starlink is an amazing confluence of programs at SpaceX. So we have a whole corner of the company that owns and operates a multiple thousand satellite constellation to provide internet to people on Earth. So Dragon was modified for Polaris Dawn to have a laser and a Star Trekker inside of the trunk. And then it will obtain internet, both uplink and downlink, through that laser link. And it's connected to a Wi-Fi router, just like you would have in your house.
Getting online with Starlink was super easy.
It was just like getting online at home, and even easier perhaps. It just connected automatically and then worked seamlessly.
And then it was just internet in space.
The Starlink performance on orbit blew us away. It enabled us to talk directly with Mission Control team, and it also enabled us two-way video connection with our families back at home. So it just was an incredible resource.
One of my favorite memories is, all four of us in different parts of the spacecraft on phones with our earpieces talking to our families. Get to show them the perspective that we have of Earth. It was very cool to bring them into the mission that way.
I was able to show my kids and my husband, what it looked like to be floating in space. I got to show them out the window. Well, my husband
we're probably
even
going to get
explained
a
that
copyright
at one
strike
point
for this,
we hung
aren't we?
up the
Just because
call
there's
and
music in the
he called
background.
back,
That's
and I
the
answered,
most
and he was
frustrating
like,
thing in the
"I
world
called
is when
space."
there could be a
Starlink on
copyright
Dragon
strike just because
something
we're
that
happening
we
to
wanna
hear a
do
song in a
because
video.
We have this company
So just
within
because of that,
SpaceX
just to be
has
safe from that, I'm going to
space-based
talk through this,
internet.
even though this is really cool and I literally want to learn. If we get a copyright strike, sometimes it can take the stream down even. So to avoid that, I talk.
Astronauts in
There you go.
space
Sorry.
to providing high-speed internet to more than 4.6 million active customers here on Earth. The Starlink team is laser focused on expanding coverage, increasing speeds, and lowering latency so that we can connect as many as possible around the world and beyond. Last year, we activated Starlink in 27 new markets and are now covering a global area home to 2.8 billion people, including those who live in some of the most remote places on Earth. To meet the growing global demand for high-speed internet, SpaceX opened a new 700,000 square foot factory in Bastrop, Texas, and introduced Starlink Mini as well as an upgraded version of the Starlink Standard Kit. The SpaceX team also achieved an unprecedented launch cadence, conducting 134 Falcon launches, with 89 dedicated to expanding the Starlink constellation. With each launch, Starlink adds more capacity to the constellation and continues to expand its coverage, connecting even more people in underserved and hardest to reach areas of the globe. Now, while our mission to connect the unconnected is far from complete, you can check out some of the Starlink team's highlights from 2024 and learn more about how our customers are furthering Starlink's impact around the world at starlink.com/stories. And a little bit closer to home, we do have a few updates for those impacted by the fires here in Southern California. So far, the Starlink team has provided about 1,350 free kits to fire departments and other disaster response organizations from down in Orange County all the way up to Malibu. That is in addition to applying free Starlink service for thousands of customers impacted by the fires all across the Los Angeles area. And just as critically, since enabling our direct-to-cell satellites with T-Mobile, more than 120,000 text messages have been sent, allowing those in impacted areas to reach loved ones, text 911, or receive emergency alerts. I've never been prouder to be an employee at SpaceX for moments like that where we can help the people and community around us. Make sure to follow @Starlink on X for updates as we continue to work with local response teams, and check out starlink.com/LA wildfires for more information on these efforts. But back to today's flight test. One of our objectives is to return the booster to the launch site where it will be caught by the tower as we did on Flight Test 5. So let's head back to Dan and Kate for a catch primer.
Thanks, Jesse. We are now T-minus 8 minutes and 40 seconds until liftoff. Flight controllers on console there in the building just behind Dan and I. You can actually see the rocket in the distance at the pad 6 miles away. Our excitement is growing. I already am not sure if I'm going to be able to remain coherent after witnessing this, so looking forward to it.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Just a quick status check. The ship fully loaded in its main tanks on LOX and fuel. We're going to load the header tanks, and booster is going to be closing out real soon as well. Let's talk about that second catch attempt, though. So we're going to use the tower's 2 gigantic robotic arms, call them the chopsticks, same thing we used to stack Starship onto Super Heavy for all the integration ahead of a flight, and that's what we used to catch by moving stuff like landing legs from the booster to the ground side. It's a lighter booster, means you can carry more into space.
Now, in a nominal operational scenario following liftoff and after the 2 stages separate in flight, Super Heavy will return to the launch site, reignite its engines to slow the vehicle down, and the tower's arms will catch the rocket booster.
And just to get to this point, just like before, thousands of distinct vehicle pad criteria have to be met prior to that return and catch. We need healthy systems on the booster, healthy systems on the tower, and a manual command from our mission flight director for the day. If we don't send that command before the boost back burn ends, or if any of those automated checks kick us out, that's what happened on Flight 6, the Super Heavy booster will divert to an offshore trajectory, and it'll go out and do a landing burn and a soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Now, we have said it before, but it remains true today. We accept no compromises when it comes to ensuring the safety of the public and our team, and that return will only take place if the conditions are right.
And one of the unique aspects of Starship flights is the return and the catch of that Super Heavy booster and the audible sonic boom that it comes with it in the area around the return location. General impact to anyone in the area is just a brief thunder-like noise, but it definitely lets you know it's coming.
Oh yeah, it's something our neighbors in Cape Canaveral, Florida and Vandenberg, California have become accustomed to over the years, and now we're bringing the boom to Boca. So here's a peek of what to expect.
All right, so since they're well, again, it's not music. Let's listen.
As I mentioned earlier, we have Starship, Raptor, and Starlink employees here fully invested in this flight test. And of course, many other SpaceX employees also here across our site supporting their teams, their teammates. Every flight test has been pretty unique, and we're all very excited for another round of firsts, but I'm pretty sure the crowd is looking forward to potentially watching those chopsticks catch another booster. So let's see how excited they are today.
I don't think they were prepared for that at all. That was weird.
Just under 5 minutes to go. We are all very excited here. We're going to send it back to you at Starbase for the final minutes of the countdown. Kate and Dan.
All right, thank you, Jesse. So if you just tuned in under 5 minutes ago, you picked the right time to do it. Just a quick status check. So we're almost fully loaded on the booster. We'll be fully loaded on the ship, fully loaded on the booster coming up soon. Our range team just reported that we're looking go in the range. That's super important.
Great
Our
news.
security guys,
Yep.
Mike, Kyle, Nick, the whole team out there in the elements, making sure everything's clear, doing a fantastic job. And we are coming up on 4 minutes and looking good for launch.
Yeah, certainly exciting. Now, we do have an opportunity to hold at T-minus 40 seconds if necessary. This is a chance for us to perform additional checks if necessary. If we, need to repressurize some tanks, or if there's a wayward vessel in the range last minute, opportunity to clear it out. But everything currently looking good. Now, once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure. The ship will go to internal power. After that, the quick disconnect, or QD, arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, which will happen shortly after T0. And yeah, once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, we do have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to that T-minus 40 second mark and hold there to assess what happened and assess opportunity to proceed again to T0.
Yep, we've used that T-minus 40 hold a couple of times. Boat's usually one of the items, but we aren't tracking anything right now that would cause us to hold there. We can hold there for several minutes. Main thing you're watching at is you kind of set a clocks because your temperatures will change and the fuel and the locks, everything pretty quickly. So you've got a couple of minutes that you can hang out and figure things out. There are items that if we pass them, we're scrubbed for the day. One of the main ones is that flame deflector at the bottom of the launch mount. Water begins flowing for that at the T-minus 10 second mark. If we scrub at any point after that, we'll be done for the day. And then teams will need to refill the deflector as well as all of our prop that we use to load on board the vehicle. It's pretty much just under 11 million pounds of props.
Before we get going here, we
right
are
now.
T-minus. You're going to notice our clock is a little bit ahead because that's what I'm going to be seeing. Our clock's real time. It's synced to my eyeball real time. We're bringing in the SpaceX feed, but the SpaceX feed, of course, is going to be a little bit behind. So we're still going to be listening in a decent amount, and we're going to be using that as information. And then we'll bring the two feeds together. So we'll have our 4K feeds here for you. We'll bring up SpaceX when it makes sense. I'm going to take you guys outside, but first, real quick, just as a thank you to you guys, we do have 15% off of our heat shield collection over at the shop, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Use coupon code STARSHIP, all one word, all lowercase. We have our new heat shield long sleeve button ups, our heat shield button up. Take 15% off, Starship, all uppercase, all one word. And also we have like our heat shield water bottle and our mug. And go to astroawards.live and come see us in Austin. But let's go outside right now. We are 1 minute away. I better get out there. Here we go. Join me outside. Oh my God. Under a minute. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me okay. Andrew, can I get confirmation everything's good? Okay, flight directors go for launch. So here we go, guys. Eyes on the prize. I do see the water going, the water deluge, and engine ignition. And here we go, everybody. And it is lifting off. We have liftoff of Starship Flight 7, pitching over downrange. This is fantastic. Here we go. You can see the Mach diamonds from the 33 Raptor engines producing 75 meganewtons of thrust heading up into space. The first flight of the brand new Starship on the upper stage. Let's go. It's a beautiful day to see some progress here, folks. Oh, you can hear it. Here it comes. This is the best job in the world right here, my friends. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. It's beautiful. It's absolutely perfect. I don't know why. It sounds louder and crazier than I even remember today. Oh, it's absolutely perfect. There it goes. It is so far up there already. That thing just screams off the pad. They are through maximum aerodynamic pressure. Everything is looking fantastic here, my friends. Look at that. Look at that go. Go Flight 7, yes. So I'm gonna be listening in here, see if there's gonna be a catch.
It's off it. It's one heck of a light show.
What a gorgeous ascent.
6 ship engines getting ready to ignite. That's going to happen while we're still attached.
We can still see the ship's engines from the ground.
Got a little under 30 seconds away from that. We are hearing good call outs on the tower preparedness from the manual checks. Reminder though, we've still got automated checkouts on the booster and the ship itself.
There we go, stage separation.
As of right now, our manual checks and our manual commanding is
I can see the flip from here.
Go for a catch.
Booster engine cut off.
That is incredible news.
I see the flip.
We just heard the call out for booster
Right,
engine cut off.
Engine startup.
Most engines cut off, down to those
Stage
middle
separation.
3.
Booster's coming back, guys. Let's see now if it's going to be a catch. Let's see if it's going to be a catch. Listening in to see if it's going to be a catch. I can still see booster. It's a
All right,
clear
hot stage
This is a
confirmed.
blue
We've got a
stage.
booster hopefully on our way back to us, and a ship now making its ascent burn into space. How's it going in Hawthorne, Jesse?
It's great over here. You can hear the crowd screaming for every milestone. The booster is now making its way back down to Earth.
Engine
Looks
shut off
like
from
we
the
have
booster.
12
That
of
looked
those
like
13 engines ignited. We're using the
Seeing some
engines that actually
venting and
gimbal.
maneuvering.
Go for booster return.
yes,
An
go for booster
excellent call
return.
out there. We are go for
Hopefully
booster
that means
return.
booster catch.
Telemetry nominal.
There's a lot of criteria that needed to line up to ensure that we could have a safe booster catch, and it sounds like we got the go for that.
Okay.
And there you can see on your screen, we had the we just
Big
jettisoned
vent.
the hot stage, and there's a great,
Big vent.
excellent view there of the hot stage floating
the
away
maneuvering,
from
the hot gas
super heavy
maneuvering.
booster.
Making sure it's helping to point it right back down to the launch pad.
Now we've shut down the engines for that boost back burn. That confirms boost back burn is now complete. That was
Easy
the
to
first of
track.
2 burns
Clear as
required
day.
for the vehicle to make its way back down to Earth.
It is
And
straight
next
up
coming up
though
will be
right
the
now,
landing
guys.
burn.
I
That's
am
going to be
looking
13
so
of those
far
center
up. You'll see
engines
this.
igniting again. And that will then go down to, from 13 down to 3 engines just right before we touch down for that booster catch. Now, reminder, our stage 1 objectives are to have a controlled ascent, stage separation, as well as a controlled boost back burn and hot stage as well. So we're looking
So
good
easy
for that
to
so
see.
far. Some great views
Just
there
right there.
from the ship of Earth. That looks incredible.
Yet it's still 75 kilometers away, and we're still able to see it.
Now, Starship's ship
I can see the
is
hot ring
still
even.
firing
I can
its
see the
engines
hot
right
ring
now.
from
Starship
here.
trajectory nominal.
That is
And
insane.
Great call outs. Starship trajectory is nominal.
No
You can
way.
follow along the telemetry, the altitude in the bottom left-hand corner for the super heavy booster, as well as the,
The
bottom
sun
right-hand
is just
corner
hitting it
for the
perfectly
ship.
too, so that helps us
And
a
these
lot
views
down here.
are just amazing.
Yeah, if you can still see the hot ring and the ship. And the hot ring, I can tell it's the hot ring because I think
Again,
it's
the booster
spinning.
is currently making its way back to the tower today. So we're looking
Holy
forward to
cow,
a
I can
booster
see
catch
how
with the
fast it's falling
chopsticks.
now. I can see how
meantime,
fast it's falling,
you
and
can
it
see
is
those grid pins
screaming
there.
back to us.
Helping to
It's going to be coming
control
through the
vehicle
cloud here,
and guide
basically
it
through its
back
own
to its
condensation.
landing
Oh,
site.
there's, holy cow, there it
Booster
is, right
FPS
through.
is
Now with that, we're gonna hand
Holy
it back.
crap,
How's it going
guys.
over there, Dan and Kate?
Oh
How
my
are you doing,
gosh.
Kate? Seeing that in person.
No way. Look at that. falling right there. Holy crap, it's screaming. Transonic right there. Here comes the booster engine ignition any second. Light those engines, please. Light those engines, please. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, let's go. Here comes the sonic boom right about when it touches the tower. Well, look at how precisely they can control that back to the tower. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, here comes the sonic boom. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. Here it is. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Oh, yes. I could feel the air. I could feel the air hit from the sonic boom. Let's go. Are you kidding me? Yeah, let's go.
You heard it
What
here.
you guys
Maxilla has caught the booster.
Woo!
Once again, for the
No
second
problem.
time, a successful
Oh my gosh,
catch
that was
by the
incredible.
launch tower.
And
This
there
is
it
the
is.
same tower, the launch pad
Just
where
caught in the
that
tower.
booster took off
And that was
from
the
just
hot staging
7.5
ring.
minutes
Hot
ago.
staging ring just had a sonic boom too.
Great view.
That is
from
insane.
the chopstick arms, looking at those
Nailed it
hypersonic
again.
fins that steer the booster.
2 out of 3 times now, everybody. They're making this look actually possible. This is starting to feel like this could be a reality here, to actually be able to catch these things and reuse them. That was unbelievable.
That was absolutely insane.
Holy crap. I caught it.
We're not done
I
yet.
caught it. I caught the catch. I didn't miss it this time. I can sleep
that is
well
just
tonight.
absolutely stunning.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy. That was absolutely unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to go back inside and start answering some questions while we're waiting for Coast. Look at those shots of the booster on the pad. That is crazy. I understand why people say this looks like CGI. If I wasn't here seeing this and I just saw this footage, I would agree. I just watched it. I have a 360 camera. I have a camera over there. We have cameras everywhere. This is real life. This is the future that I'm excited about. This is why I'm covering this stuff, because it's awesome. It's something to get excited about. It's something to celebrate. It's something that could change humanity for the better. Because space is closer than ever before. Let's go inside. Let's go inside.
Ship engines has gone out. I'm waiting for an update on what our ship status is. We were approaching that ship engine cutoff time. So just waiting to hear. So obviously we've got booster back, booster on the launch tower in the chopstick arms, but we are waiting to get an update now on the ship. As we were expecting ship engine cutoff about 40 seconds ago. We saw some of those engines start to go out prior to that point. And so right now we are just standing by to try and get the latest word where we are with ships. So stick with us for just a couple of minutes as we wait to hear some updates.
Now, if you just recently joined us, you might want to hit rewind and go back about 9-10 minutes ago to when Starship lifted off from the launch tower that you see there. We had a gorgeous ascent followed by a stage separation where the ship separated from the super heavy booster. The booster performed a flip maneuver and returned back to the Gulf Coast here. There you can see it on your screen. Obviously a successful catch back at the launch tower, which is something that we were all hoping to see and really couldn't ask for a more beautiful background with those blue skies and blue water there. As Dan said, we are standing by for an update on the ship that had ignited its engines and started making its way up to space. So standing by for more info on that.
Probably lost it.
But wow,
Shoot.
what an experience to see that take off and for that booster to come
Bittersweet.
back.
Pros
You
and
see it there
cons.
up close on your screen to the place that it launched from. Once again, there were thousands of catch commit criteria, which is basically just all the things that we have to assess and evaluate and basically make sure that they are make sure that everything is clear and acceptable conditions, both on the vehicle side as well as the tower side, in order to enable that catch. So obviously from the last 2 flights that we have done, where the flight 6 we attempted but had to divert into the ocean, and then on flight 5 we did have the first ever successful catch of the booster. We used the learnings of those 2 flights to hone in that catch commit criteria, and we saw success today, which is pretty awesome.
And just a quick status check. So we currently do not have comms with the ship. So trying to figure out exactly when that happened and exactly what happened. So obviously the flight controllers right now going through their data, looking to make sure it's not anything instrumentation on the ship, but actually try and get us a status. So again, we're gonna keep listening in on this. We'll give you an update as soon as we have a little bit more. So for now, stage 1 back in the tower, waiting to find out a little bit more about stage 2.
So it seems like they might have had a bit of a methane leak. I mean, sometimes those are uneven. They use like locks as ballast. So I'm not entirely sure if that's what happened, if they had like a methane leak in one of the tanks, or if it's just they had an engine rut or something. But wow, that is a roller coaster there. Come back in thinking like this is the perfect flight and we're going to see orbit really soon, to crap, you know what? There might be a few more attempts before we get a full orbital mission and a full orbital catch. But man, that was, to see that catch though, I'm happy. I mean, maybe I'm being selfish, but it was unbelievable. I can't believe how easy it is to see the entire time. You can literally watch it. When it went transonic, I feel like they waited even longer, because previously they kind of lit the engines.
So if you are just tuning in,
okay, listen.
we caught a booster, but we are still waiting to find out a little bit more on the ship. So it had successfully separated. We did that hot staging maneuver. We did see all 6 of ship's engines on the way uphill during its ascent. But as we were getting to the end of that ascent burn, we saw engines dropping out on telemetry, and we have since lost contact with the ship. So again, we're still listening in on the loops, trying to figure out how much we can get right now. But again, stick with us. We'll bring you updates as soon as we hear them. Really exciting. We were able to catch the booster today. Obviously, we want to get the ship all the way over to the Indian Ocean. May not be able to do that at this point, but we'll give you some updates as soon as we hear a little bit more about the ship.
For those that didn't catch earlier, this was a new version of the ship. This was its debut flight. So a lot of learnings here for sure as we continue to tune in and listen in with the teams and try to gather more information to understand where we stand with the ship. But
Okay,
as Dan
so
mentioned before, teams
hear
are
me
trying to
out.
make sure that it's not
Hear
an
me out.
instrumentation
I've got an
error.
idea.
We want to find
What
out,
if
you know,
we
did we just lose
combine
communication,
New
or,
Glenn's first
or
launch
did
and
something else happen
Starship's
with the mission?
7th
So
launch?
teams are
We'd have a
actively
fully
working, trying to
orbital
figure out,
and
what we
landing
can,
mission. They kind of pulled the reverse
find out.
Blue Origin, didn't they?
And,
Because
we're
they
continuing
landed, but they didn't get to
listen in
orbit or
and,
through the
find
full
out more
second stage burn.
information to
And
share
Blue
as
Origin
we
did the opposite. It
But,
got through
as I
it got
said
into
before,
orbit and did the second stage burn, but didn't quite catch their rocket. So let's just combine the,
beautiful sight
and
to
we'll end
see
up with a
another
perfect
booster back at
uh,
the
a
launch
perfect
tower.
mission. So
That was successfully
man,
launched
that's a
minutes
shame. I
ago.
wonder what's going to happen if
After
it just fully has to
sending the ship
abort
off
and
into
if they have to send a
space.
flight termination, or if it could.
Having
You know,
seen
how
it for
cool
the
would it have
first
been
time
if
with my own
it
eyeballs
knows
in
that, oh, I have a
person,
leak,
it was
and make it
awesome.
into orbit and just starts
And,
gliding and you know, using its
the
aerodynamic
thunder-like
features
sonic boom was,
to try to do a
was
controlled
really fun
re-entry and
to
just
experience.
belly flop somewhere. I don't know, probably not, but
So we are
wow.
a little
All right,
bit
I'm going to listen again.
we did lose all communications with the ship. So, I mean, that is essentially telling us that we had an anomaly with that upper stage. So we were just coming up to the end of that ascent burn for the ship. when we stopped when we started to lose a couple of the engines, we saw those dropping out, and then we did lose telemetry from the ship, so that means we didn't have contact with it. So at this point, we are assuming that the ship has been lost. So this was a brand new vehicle, essentially. This was kind of an upgrade version. So with that, there's a lot of things you're upgrading, but there's a lot of things you're going to learn as all of those systems are now interacting with each other for the first time. But at this point, we did lose the upper stage of the ship. So again, we're gonna listen in and try and figure out a little bit more about what happened. And obviously, we'll do kind of a full breakdown once we get smarter ourselves in the coming hours and days as well.
For sure. Now, for those that have recently tuned in, we're now a little over T plus 16 and a half minutes after liftoff. We do believe that we have lost the ship during its ascent phase. It's successfully separated from the Super Heavy booster, but during that ascent phase, a couple of the engines dropped out, and then shortly thereafter, we lost communication with the vehicle. So we are assuming that we have lost the ship, but we are standing by to confirm that, and once we can, we will. But this was a new version of the ship, of Starship, and it was intentionally designed and flown in order to basically test the envelope, as we have done with every one of these test flights, the keyword there being test, and really trying to understand the boundaries and the maximums for the ability of this vehicle to fly and understand where those boundaries are. So we always knew that excitement is guaranteed today, success not guaranteed. And so yeah, we are standing by to see if we can learn more about the status of the ship.
She gone. That's the status. She gone. Yeah, unfortunately, the reality is it looks like there may have been some kind of fire, some kind of leak. And they're going to learn from this. Of course, that's how SpaceX operates. You know, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I do want to say, to take note here, guys, CRS-7, the 7th commercial resupply mission, also had a failure of the upper stage. And CRS-8 was the first landing on a drone ship. So maybe this is just following the same, timeline here of the Falcon and the commercial resupply program. So, yeah, I mean, this is to be expected when it's still, I'm a little bit sad because V2, this new, well, not V2, I probably shouldn't be calling it V2 because people get upset about that because historically it's obviously a Nazi horrifying missile system. But this new version of Starship version 2, there, I'll call it version 2. You happy? Starship version 2 is supposed to be a lot more kind of refined and a lot more finalized and a lot more closer to an operational upper stage. So you never know, though, when you make so many changes at once and at the pace of iteration, changing so much stuff, thousands of changes between the Flight 6 Starship and Flight 7 Starship upper stage. It's not that surprising that there could be something that got overlooked or just done wrong. And you know what? At the end of the day, they're going to learn from it. They're going to learn and they're going to go, oh, cool. Okay, well, we didn't quite realize that was a thing, but all right, now we do. And they'll make a better, more reliable system because of it. I love that they're depressing the booster now. The booster looks good. That booster looks fantastic. That looks like it's in way better shape than Flight 5's booster. That's incredible. And they're very much venting all of the propellant out, which they were not able to do successfully last time, if I recall. So hopefully they'll be able to stack that back down onto the orbital launch mount very quickly this time. It'd be really impressive if they actually were able to do that quickly here. We will see. Last time it took several hours to be able to get it back and safely on the tower. It'd be cool if they could do it within 1 or 2 hours. And who knows, maybe this booster will get another chance to do another mission. If it came back looking good, there's a chance they just refly this one. So who knows? That's a good looking booster though. I can't believe it still looks pretty darn good. So at least I like that we have, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. We have 1.5 million things to try to say. I just got to say thank you. If you're watching, there's still 130,000 of you watching. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. It really does mean the world. We've got a ton of super chats, a ton of good questions. I'm going to try to answer them as many as I can. And then I'm going to have to rest my voice because I've been screaming. I've been streaming for 3 days, like long streams, 3 days in a row now. Exhausted, had caught a red eye the night before, had logistical challenges, 2 weeks of building a trailer. We have the Astro Awards in a week. I've got to prevent burnout. I've got to prevent getting sick because sometimes I run myself to exhaustion and I end up on the couch for like 3 days sick. So I can't have that right now. So I'm going to try to keep this relatively short. Let me read a bunch of your comments. Stick around. We'll hopefully learn. I'll shut up as soon as I hear anything from SpaceX and if we learn anything else. I should never have a pen in my hand because I use it way too much like a weapon. Thank you guys, though, for tuning in. Seriously. Hope to see you guys at Astro Awards. Hope you can catch up on some of my old videos. There's other videos that you might not have seen that are fun and entertaining. So watch those if you're waiting for the Apollo video, which a lot of us are, including me. Willie Olson, you do a better job. Thank you so much for $50. Greatly, greatly appreciated. LK, been watching since the Pants Destroyer. That's a long time ago. Love seeing the various space agencies bring you in for interviews and chats. Don't change a thing. Go Stoke. Heck yeah. Thank you so much, LK. In the future, will both towers be used to catch both stages? I think that will be kind of depending on how fast this takes. Don't forget, it takes at least 90 minutes and most likely would take about 2 or 3 orbits to realign back to Starbase. So they have about 4.5 hours to clear the pad to get the booster off the tower, off the catch arms, before they would really need to be able to catch Starship. So if they can do it in under 5 hours, they might be able to just catch it with the same tower. But 2 towers probably makes the most sense. This is, I think I already answered this one. Thank you, though, Sunday, for that. Are you going to wait until after Dear Moon mission to switch? Hey, it's me, Tim. No, remember, no Dear Moon. No Dear Moon. If you don't like it, tell Yusaku Maezawa about it. Juicy, sorry. Steel was supposed to withstand the heat from reentry using crying holes. Is steel now just dead weight, having to also use those shielding panels? So no, because if you had a lower melting point metal like aluminum, you'd have to use more heat shield to counteract that. You'd have to use a thicker, heavier heat shield. So the trade study is that because it needs to survive reentry, you can use less heat shield. So yes, steel is heavier than aluminum, kind of pound for pound, or meter by meter, or whatever you want to say. Steel is heavier, but it can natively handle a higher temperature, so you don't have to do as much heat shield. Also, they were working on testing, active cooling tiles that might be transpirational cooling or crying, or it might just be regen. We don't exactly know what, but we'll hopefully learn more. We're going to hear from SpaceX here any second.
In on the status of the ship. At this point in time, we can confirm that we did lose the ship. However, Starship, the total vehicle, did have an on-time liftoff at 4:37 p.m. Central Time from the launch pad just behind us at Starbase, Texas. Gorgeous ascent and successful stage separation. The booster pushed the ship off, the ship disconnected during that stage separation. The booster came back for a successful, the second ever booster catch at the launch tower, which was pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, it was great to see the booster come down, but we are obviously bummed out about ship. It looked like we lost contact with it a little under 8.5 minutes into flight. That's roughly when you start to get to that main engine cutoff. We obviously need to go through all the data. It's going to take some time. In the next hours, days, we're going to figure out exactly what happened, come back, fly the next one, get even farther. Reminder, it's a test. It's a flight test. It's an experimental vehicle. So we'll figure out what ended our day today and make sure it doesn't end our day tomorrow. So as we do that, we're going to continue to provide you updates on our X account on SpaceX.com. So just continue to tune in there. As we learn what happened, we'll be ready to share it.
Exactly. So for now, we are going to wrap up our webcast. We'd like to thank the folks in the county for supporting the launch, as well as the agencies that enable us to launch, and of course to our viewers for tuning in.
And thank you, Kate, for coming down, doing this with me. It was great to have you here.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. We'll see you guys at the next Starship flight test.
Holy crap. Breaking news. Someone in Turks and Caicos, they could see the breakup of this thing. I'm going to send this off to Andrew, our producer, and he will take a look at it, and we'll see if we can pull it up on air without exploding stuff. This almost has to be, I don't know what else this could be. I don't want to speculate 100%, but I'm going to speculate 100%. Turks and Caicos is would have been pretty much right on. Wow. Hang on, I'm looking at it here. That has to be what that is. That is Starship blowing up. Like, you can see the... Hey. That is crazy. That is insane. That has to be Starship. I don't exactly... Let me see on a map. Maps.google.com. And we'll be pulling that up. Where's Turks and Caicos again? Turks and Caicos. I believe it's pretty much right in line with this. Yes, that is gotta be it. That's gotta be it. Go ahead and hit play on that. It is a video. Starship re-entered. Rest in pieces. That is very much a breakup of the entire vehicle. Wow. Quite the show. And that, my friends, is why they don't overfly populated areas. So hopefully we don't hear of anything bad happening. There is a little bit of a barbecue fire going on if anyone wants to get their hot dogs and burgers up there on that quick disconnect plate. You could fry up a little bit of a delicious dinner. But yeah, that is why they have these flight corridors where they purposely do not overfly land with populated areas with humans. So if something like this happens, especially in these early days as they're trying to figure it out, yeah, they definitely don't want to have pieces of debris raining down on populated areas. So I know that might look close and like, oh man, that landed right on those people. We'll have to see and make. I hope that there wasn't any debris that landed anywhere near people, but if it followed the flight path, hopefully that stayed clear of hitting anyone or potentially hitting anybody. So please tell me. Wow, I really, really hope that is didn't hurt anybody, because that they take this stuff very seriously. If obviously, yep, another one, another shot of this. Hang on, we're gonna keep bringing these in because these are absolutely crazy. Yeah, lots of reports from the islands, from the Caribbean, of this thing re-entering. That would have been a crazy show. This one's even wilder. This thing totally broke up. I don't even know if they got to flight termination system before it broke up. But this is why they have exclusion zones, my friends. This is what exclusion zones are for, is for this right here. This is from user CamTem on X. Wow. Can you imagine seeing that? You would think that was like the end of the world. Wow. Yeah, this might be bad for progress for Starship, my friends. This might hinder some licenses for the next one. They're going to want a full report on this. This is going to be a full accident report, full mishap report. Remember earlier in the stream when I said I expect 12 plus or minus 3 on average, one a month? It's because of stuff like this. There could be like a 3 or 4 month hold where we don't see another Starship launch until they figure that out and then file the entire report and get the sign off on the FAA before they can fly again. And then by the end of the year, they're getting down to 2 or 3 a month. It could all average out to that 9 to 15. But that's wow. Yeah, it's confirmed. They lost it. It's triple confirmed, not only by SpaceX, but here on stream too. They lost it. That's for sure. Hang on, let me tell my team here something real quick. Hey team, if anybody's got the capacity, can we start bringing in clips from anything that we can from a Zcam and stuff? We'll see. I'm gonna also try to sign off here soon. My voice is exploding, probably because I'm yelling. Is it possible to start downloading our clips on the air before we lose all the, not for replay, but just keep that moving? From like, if we can't do stuff. Yeah, what was that? Yeah, stop rolling it like this. Yeah, I mean, maybe keep one going, but I do have a drive here if you want it. That makes it easier. All right, sorry. Is it at all possible, Andrew, for you to pull back Steve-O's shot? We got to see Steve-O's tracking shot from, was he Mr. T or was he Burrito? He was Mr. T, right? Okay, we have an unbelievable tracking shot, hopefully, that I guess, did we show it on air? Did it actually end up on air? Okay, well, hopefully, we'll try to see if we can do a replay of it too, but apparently Steve-O, one of our team members here, had an amazing tracking shot. And, that's filming in slow-mo too, so not super high speed slow-mo, but it's 3 frames a second. But I can't wait to see that. So I'm going to go through many of these as quickly as possible. The SpaceX have plans to implement some kind of escape system for crew passengers, not even during landing, but how about during any portion of flight, like what we saw today? Again, the theory is if you do this enough, you'll find all these kinks, you won't have these problems, and you'll have a very robust, reliable system. If you have a system that works, eventually you can just do it all the time. But yeah, that's going to bring up a lot of questions of, could we still, for human launches, still put a abort capsule on top or something? Let's see here. That's awesome, Brian. Thank you for tuning in. Glad you were here. Paul Tono. Nope, there will be landing legs on starships that need landing legs. If it's landing on Mars, you have to have landing legs. There's not a launch tower there. If you're landing on the moon, you have to have landing legs. But on Earth, these ones are optimized for going to and coming back to Earth. They will not need landing legs if they have the launch tower. Why would you put them on there if you can catch it and remove all that weight? It's just more mass to orbit. So yeah, there will likely continue seeing this continue. How fast could we get to outer planets from Bartos and beyond with 1 to 2 ton probes using stripped down starships as a kick stage? Quickly. It would be, yeah, if you just stripped down Starship and just threw a 1 ton probe and then did like a, Jupiter gravity assist, I'll bet you could get out to like many percentage, like 3 or 4% of the speed of light or something if you do it like that. That would be awesome. I'm sorry, it sounds like my camera may have froze for the time being, but do you still have my audio, I think? Okay, I'll just keep going. Hola, Tim, watching from the Caribbean. Question, oh man, if you were from the Caribbean, I wonder if you saw the breakup. Sputnik 65. Let's see if Sputnik 65 is still in there. Crewed Starship emergency escape system after launch. Yeah. This is funny. These questions were coming in beforehand. I have a video about, does SpaceX need an abort system on Starship? It does bring those questions even more into play when you have a vehicle that should have easily been able to make it through its burn. But we will see. We will see. There's still a long ways. It's still the early days of this stuff, guys. Da Vinci, I was wondering, do you own a house you stream from, and how far is it from where you live? Greetings from Switzerland. Yeah, the studio here is a building that I bought in 2021 for Starship to be able to stream from here. Then we plugged in, when we built the van in 2022, we plug it into the studio here. Then now we put all that equipment into a trailer, which literally just arrived now. So the stream has not been running on the trailer because that trailer has been transported from California back. So yeah, welcome to logistics. And then, yeah, I live in Iowa. So I'm back and forth between Iowa, Austin, and here. So up and down the mighty Highway 35 in the United States all the time. Hex. You guys, the only company that both compares SpaceX and launch service reliability and is also publicly listed on the U.S. Stock Exchange is Rocket Lab. So guys, the only company I think is you guys. Yeah, that is true. But I'm not going to talk about stocks and stuff here, but that is just a fact. How did the review and approval of Blue Origin video tour go? I mean, honestly, it was pretty straightforward. I showed them the footage. If anything, it was ITAR. I mean, there's pretty much just any of these factory tours with anything. It's just ITAR concerns. Is there anything sensitive here that can't get out because it could be used by foreign, nemesis, arch nemesis? I can't think of the word as to be able to build weapon systems. So that's the main concern. It was just like pretty much every other factory tour where I give them the footage and say, let me know what I can and cannot use, and what we got is what we see. Oh, this is from Terry's Workbench. Tim, I said something unkind in the chat on IFT6. I apologize. We're out here trying to be better humans. You are a great example. Thank you so much, Terry's Workbench. Always appreciate that. I'm happy that I feel like if we all come together and foster a positive environment, I don't expect popsicles and rainbows every step of every day. There's still challenges and there's hardships and there's terrible things in the world. But when there is cool stuff, you should celebrate that too. You should celebrate the good stuff, and it gives you more of a spectrum of bitter and sweet. Today we saw bitter and sweet, and it's okay to hold multiple emotions about this launch. Get ready for headlines and people saying just definitive things. Starship sucks. It didn't make it. It didn't even do its thing. It sucks. They're ignoring the booster landing. But you could also say it landed the booster is perfect. No, there's nuances. It can be both. It was awesome and it sucked today. That's just how it is. And that's fun and exciting. And I love finding room in my brain and my heart for carrying multiple emotions. Today was one of those tests right now. Is like, that was awesome. And now it sucks that they lost the Starship. But they'll move on. We'll move on. And I'm glad that people are, hopefully you guys are continuing to work on being positive and have fun. So kind of on the same topic, do I live down there? Is it just for launches? I don't live down here in Texas. I'm down here almost more often than not, but I still consider Iowa to be my home. It's just where my family and my best friends are. It's just home. Home is where the heart is. That's where it is. And I like it down here. We've got a great community down here. We've got an amazing team. But it's just, yeah, I like to just kind of come down. I'm more productive at home. I'm very productive at home because there's just less distractions. Yeah. David, $7.77 for Flight 7. Thank you so much. You definitely need a botanist from Zaptronic. Okay, I didn't know that needing a botanist was in my main foray here, but I could use a botanist, I guess. Thank you very much, Zaptronic, for your very generous donation. Why don't they just try to land Starship on a boat like they did Falcon 9? The big thing is you do get more performance when you land downrange on a boat. Starship is much bigger. You need a much bigger boat. The main thing they're trying to do is reduce turnaround time. They really want to make it so Starship lands, is refueled, and can refly within, rapidly, within like hours. If you have to go out there, catch it, and come back, it takes days. We go from days to hours. We've got another crazy X-post of it actually blowing up that we'll get on air here. So people were seeing this and actually saw it break up. Wow. Okay, we'll get this on air here shortly. Wow, this is definitely what's going on here. I mean, yeah. But that's why they don't land on a drone ship. Maybe someday if there's enough of a fleet. So check this out. This is another breakup, a video of it breaking up. You could see Starship though up until this point. That is beautiful. And there it goes. That is the moment they lost it. Fully lost it. And now you just see chunks of debris re-entering. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wee wa wow wa. Crazy. Do you think SpaceX will have a valid, I assume that's a Mars habitat? Someday I hope they do. If they're going to send humans there, you better have a way to have, humans, habitat. JB, BE4 is greater than Merlin. I think by most, besides thrust to weight ratio, BE4 is more powerful, more efficient than Merlin. It's a great engine. It's an awesome engine. Merlin's still a higher thrust to weight ratio. Merlin's a pretty awesome beast. Don't underrate Merlin, and they just keep it's unbelievably reliable. But yeah, I would agree that in some ways BE4 is better than Merlin, and in other ways Merlin's better than BE4. This is from MTH 5000. Stoke might prove you wrong and launch when they say they will. By the way, I have a final interview to work with Stoke. Please wish me luck. That's amazing. I would love if Stoke proves me wrong by saying if it's going to be 2 years and they do it in 2 years, they would be the first. They'd be like the very first. That is awesome. I'm sorry, I'm new to this. Is this SpaceX's most powerful rocket? Yes, it is. Starship is over twice as powerful as the Saturn V that took humans to the moon. It is the world's most powerful rocket ever built, ever flown, period. David Swenson, holy cow. Thank you, Tim, for all you do. Keep up the great work in spaceflight coverage. Buy the team some tacos. Absolutely, David. Thank you so much for your generous support. Very much thank you. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Chat, please say thank you to David Swenson. That is huge. That is crazy. Space Twitter is go for Flight 7. Love it. Just want to say, see how you're doing. Can we get a BTS of the setup? Love your videos. Been watching for 5 years. Thank you. Yes, you will get a setup tour video when we get, hopefully after like Flight 8, we'll do a full review of everything now that we have everything kind of in its place. We'll do a full review tour of how we do these streams. Not this particular stream. This stream was done in a different way, but other streams. Zach DeBolt, really appreciate your channel as it helped me reignite my obsession for space and aerospace. I love to hear it. That's what it's all about right there. We're all humans witnessing fun and awesome history. Seth Miner, thank you so much. From Michaela, here we go. German space girl watching from Egypt. An American rocket maybe splashing down in the eastern Indian Ocean. Cool time to be around. You're right. That is so cool. That is like bringing the world together. A German in Egypt watching American rockets that should have splashed down in the Indian Ocean. Yeah, very crazy. Thank you for watching. Any plans for landing Starship with landing gear? Seems like a waste dropping them in the ocean if they could avoid it. So again, we'll see if plans change, but for now, Starship will be planned to be caught by the tower, which makes sense, especially on Starship. If you have, say, 10 tons of landing gear, then you're missing out on 10 tons of payload mass, which is crazy. Productive procrastinator, how did I get in touch with Elon and Bezos? To be honest, both of them reached out to me, which is crazy. Yeah, that's what you gotta do in life, honestly, is make great products and people will find you. I think that, I've heard that said. I think Elon said that about like Tesla and Starlink and stuff, is make a great product and people will buy it. And I think that's kind of the mantra I've tried to do with the channel. Make a good product and people will find it. So yeah. Let's see. Do you know, this is from Daniel. Did you know it takes manure of around 180 cows to fill up Starship? I did not know that. That's how much methane. 180,000 cows, sorry, to fill up Starship. I mean, we need more cows making methane, I guess. Jeffrey Johnson, what happened to that YouTuber who used to wear a flight suit in all of his videos? Thanks for all you do, Tim. You know what's funny is I haven't worn the spacesuit since 2018, yet it still comes up. That's 7 years ago. That's the last time I wore the spacesuit on the channel was 2018. Very early days, Everyday Astronaut. Crazy to think about. Absolutely crazy to think about. What do you think about Block 2 ship aesthetic-wise? I think it looks a little bit more majestic compared to Block 1. Greetings from Denmark. Well, thank you so much. I just think it looks more refined. I think it looks more professional, just more gooder altogether would be my assessment of it. Thank you. Hunter, been watching since 6th grade, now at Georgia Tech. Wow, studying aerospace engineering. Check out the YJSP Club building Kerlox rocket to space. That is awesome, Hunter. Best of luck with your Kerlox rocket and a space shot. That's crazy. From George or Jorge, hey, Tim, if my wife finds out I'm giving money to a space streamer, she's going to kick my butt, but it's worth it. As always, great job. Go SpaceX, go Starship, go Everyday Astronaut. Well, thank you so much. I hope you don't get in trouble. That's funny. How many cameras are on this thing? There's apparently 30 cameras on Starship now that are all now in the Gulf. Jono Bell, how good is something from home? We probably already covered this, but Starship carrying anything this time? Yes, it was carrying 10 dummy payloads that would have been ejected on a suborbital trajectory. Do you have any idea on the cost of propellant? A few million, probably 2 million or so to fully fuel it. 1 to 2, not sure. F in chat, they got a Windows update. This is probably when we had our freeze. I'm trying so hard to catch up. Let's keep it cool, people. Tim has to work the problem. Yep, failure is not an option. We worked through it. That was a long time ago. For Tim's video freeze GoFundMe. The funny thing is we would have had the most stable stream if we had our trailer here, which just arrived 30 minutes from California. So like I said, we had to do things a little bit differently today. It wasn't quite as robust, but I think it was a good solution. And yeah, we had one little boo-boo, but we're good now. So thank you for sticking with us. David, New Glenn took nearly 3 minutes longer to reach Leo than Starship. Also had a really terrible thrust weight lift at liftoff and half the payload. I was a bit disappointed at it. How much can we expect this to improve? I mean, who cares how long it takes to get into orbit? Obviously, a low thrust to weight ratio on the first stage could be improved. I think that needs to be improved. But the upper stage, hydrolocks, you know, relatively low thrust engines pushing a good amount of mass around. Yeah, I see room for improvement. I think if they improve the thrust to weight ratio on the booster, they'll get a lot more performance out of that thing. Mikey saying, appreciate all the fantastic coverage from the Everyday Astronaut team. I've been following along since Starhopper. Awesome. So that would have been 2019. What are your thoughts on the viability of orbit refueling in order to get beyond orbit? I don't see any major holdups. I think assuming they can start to get this thing to work well, that'll be very solvable. The algorithm unsubscribed you, says D. Witzer. Dang, I am so sorry about... See, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like that has actually been happening to me. That sucks. I feel like a lot of my core audience just doesn't even see my videos anymore. It's just so frustrating. And I don't know if it's because I have interviews with Elon Musk and that gets kind of shadow banned on YouTube or what, but it does suck. It definitely hurts when we're trying our hardest around here. Me again, a Space Geek for the Astro Awards. If you can't do a live stream, Zoom tickets, can all the panels be recorded and upload later? I can't travel and have FOMO. We'll try. We're planning on it. We'll see where we end up. Yeah. Fletcher Boy waiting on the Apollo video. Yep, so am I. Oh, there are big venti flames. Hey, should we re-record on these cameras? That could just be venting methane back out the QD. The quick disconnect. Because if they're venting methane, that might be the only way they actually have to depressurize the vehicle. Starhopper used to do that. Yes, I was blind to the fire, guys. You know, this is honestly, if you saw Starhopper, you'd realize this is totally normal. They're just probably venting. That's probably the most efficient way they have to vent the methane, the leftover methane. No big deal. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Watching right as I say that it explodes, but I think that's just the only way they have to vent methane. Ola becoming the member, and Lukenstein 86 and Ben Moran becoming a member. Thank you so much. Buff Bagel, looks to me like the thrust to weight ratio of Blue Origin was off. What do you think? Yeah, we've talked about that a few times. It does seem like it was quite low. I don't know if it underperformed or if that's just, yeah, who knows. Thank you, though. Justin Preble, really appreciate the quality of your content and your interviews with Elon are epic. Thank you so much, Justin. Huge. Wow. Thank you very, very, very much for that very generous support. Seriously, greatly, greatly appreciated. It'll be feeding mouths tonight. I promise you that. There are 40,000 people watching and only 1,000 like. Let's all like the stream and help Tim out with the algorithm. I would appreciate that. Now we're down to 53, but we do have 23,000 likes. So if you have that ability to send us a like, it does help the algorithm and it does help the channel. I feel like you should be a YouTuber about rockets and space things. You'd be good at it. Love your content. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Paula Brinka, YouTube is favoring shorts at this time, so maybe do a couple shorts per week to regain traction. I have been doing more shorts. I've been doing some more shorts. I'll have to do a few more. It just sucks because it takes away from the long-form content that I actually like to make. Granddad Rocket, Ty Tim, can you tell us anything you know about the new experimental tiles, I assume, on Starship? No, because we don't know what kind of active cooling they're using. If they're using regenerative cooling, which would be flowing through channels and somehow recirculating and then venting off the gas, or if they're using transpirational cooling where they're bleeding it through pores, we don't actually know. What did I tell you guys about the fire, by the way? What did I tell you? You're all worried. Tim, you're missing it. It was just a little fire. Who cares? After what it just went through, that's nothing. It's like a little burp. Yeah, so sorry we don't actually have a ton of info about the tiles, honestly. Let's keep going here. I'm trying to just fly. Oh, we have so many. Oh my God. Guys, I can't. Unfortunately, my voice is, if you hear it, it's absolutely shot. I'm so far behind on these. Yeah. Let me see where we're at. I'm gonna have to go to the big ones. I'm sorry, everyone. I really appreciate all the support, but my voice is shot. This is from Chris Gatlin. SLS, what's your workaround? What's the workaround they decided for the heat shield issue? Well, we don't know yet, and they don't know yet. And that's the beauty of testing and flying and rapidly iterating. We're going to keep seeing changes. Maybe it will be an active heat shield. Maybe it'll be thicker heat shields. Maybe it'll just be having an ablative, cover underneath the heat shields. We'll find out. But thank you so much from Chris. Yeah, that's huge. Thank you so much. And Ryan Dodd, by the way. Oh, I see. That was SLS. I see what you're talking about. Sorry. Ryan Dodd, by the way, fellow Dodd. Thank you so much. Chris was saying SLS, what's the workaround for the heat shield? I think Orion is technically what was messed up on the heat shield. Orion's heat shield had problems. The workaround is a different reentry profile. Instead of going back to finer areas on the heat shield where it's easier to get the ablative material without any pits or pockets in it. Thank you so much for saying the shots are tight and crisp and next level. They are. Let's see here. Trying to get through these. Thank you so much to Caver Eric. Very much appreciated. We've been making jokes about Jeff Hu, but do you think New Glenn means real competition for Starship? It for sure means real competition for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. And at least it is another competition point against Starship. Because if Starship really does start launching 100 tons on a fully reusable rocket, then, yeah, that's going to be very hard to beat. So it is definitely competition is a good thing. It will progress things. Yes. Steve S., Patreon for 5 years. Thank you so much for your wonderful rocket info. Excited to see you at Astro Awards. Thank you so much, Steve. Yes. I love it. I love that we're bringing the community together. This is so cool. Jeff Rourke has just become a member. Thank you so much for that. What a time to be alive. Let's go, Starship. Thank you so much. Leonardo da Vinci. Wow. Big fan. Became a member. John Gilbraith also became a member. Thank you so much. 43 months of membership from Pizak. Thank you so much. Like I said, sorry, I'm just kind of rapid firing through these. Generationship. Oh, earlier generation. A Starship with families on board that travel for 100 years, and the only duration. When launch? I don't know about any of that. I have no idea. No idea when we're gonna see. Multi-generational launch where it's decades. Yikes. Big one here from J Row 91. Let's catch this rocket. They did. Thank you so much. Wait, is it being lowered already? Yeah, right? They're lowering it. I mean, yeah, it's moved down quite a bit. Can we get one of the tracking cameras that was? I mean, look at how close it is to the pad now. Yeah, they're lowering it back down already. They're going to try to put that thing right back on the pad. That's awesome. Dima, Friendship Fund. Wow, thank you so much, Dima. But really, thanks for the added entertainment and company you provide to us all, especially for those of us having to watch alone at work. Well, thank you so much, Dima. That is very, very generous. Greatly appreciate. Thank you so, so much. Seriously. That is huge. Thank you. That will go right back into all this stuff. Wait until you guys see the tour of all of our new gear. We just keep reinvesting, trying to make this better and better every single time. And it's all thanks to you guys. When do you expect the next New Glenn launch? I'll just answer that real quick. I don't know. I hope we definitely get another launch this year. I hope that we get one by summer. Would be very cool. They're aiming for 4 this year, but I hope that we see at least one more. And I hope the next one's by summer. From Snowball 993, thank you and the Everyday Astronaut team for great coverage and enthusiasm. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We love being here. I don't think we could imagine doing anything else. Sorry for when they land. They're the best around. The best around. Let's see. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, that's how I'm going to get a copyright strike. It's from my horrible acapella. William Contino. Tim, you do such an amazing job. There are several of us teaching at Alfred University who stop everything to make sure we see your broadcast. Keep up the great work. Very much appreciated. Well, thank you so much. And hello to the rest of you at Alfred University. Thank you very, very much. That means a lot. I love knowing that's one of the ultimate compliments is when I know my videos or my streams have been in classrooms teaching people and helping to inspire the next generation to do this kind of stuff. That is amazing. So thank you so much here. Hello from Star Army Role-Playing Forum. Longtime watcher here. Thanks, Tim, for your endless dedication covering the new space race. Wish you the best. You have my support. Thank you so much, Wes. Seriously. Chris Waters, go. Love it. And Brady, keep it up. Thank you. Love your content. Thank you guys so much. AG748, you're welcome. We had new members, Paul Jackson, Mike McKenzie. Sorry, guys, I'm just flying through these here. Go Starship, let's go. SpaceX, Justin Stoddard, $100. Let's go Starship. Let's go SpaceX. Thank you so much. It was a heck of a show. That was a heck of a show. I'm sad still about the Starship, but the booster landing was amazing. And actually, I hope someday they land it at this time of night. Look at the lighting right now. That is beautiful. Thank you so, so much. Seriously, that's huge. That is very, very big. I literally cried. Oh, man. Catching the booster is incredible, but losing the part that will carry people is not cool. Agreed. Again, bittersweet, multiple emotions. Can we talk about the orb that was clearly there during boost back? Yeah, that's not an orb. It was the hot staging ring. They ejected the hot staging ring, and that's what you see. And then you see Starship flying away. So at boost back, you see Starship flying away, and you see Starship, the super heavy booster, flying back. So you have two pieces. And then right after boost back, you see what might look like an orb, but it's just the jettison of the hot staging ring. They eject that. Not anything. It's not even an unknown, like a UFO or a UAP. What's the deal with loose metal on T+50? Unfortunately, I'll have to look back at the stream to see what was T+50. And at T758, fire on the aft right flap. Definitely seems to have been a fire on the aft flap. This is from Georgetown, Bahamas. Wait, we just witnessed here in Georgetown, the Bahamas re-entered. So dang, that's crazy that you saw it, Derek. That is awesome. Thank you for letting us know. I did get to see a catch in person. Thank you, G. Jacobson. And Aaron Williams for the support. We're finally caught up to after the catch. Why do they waste the hot stage ring? For now, it's just because the hot stage ring was a late addition to the booster. They originally designed Starship to not have the hot staging ring. They weren't going to do hot staging. That's because it was just a last minute addition. It kind of throws off the aerodynamics. It throws off the center of mass. It throws off its additional mass. They just decided the easiest thing to do is literally use the same launch clamps that were going to hold on to Starship. Just let go of the hot staging ring. And that's what they do. Super simple for now. Eventually, the new booster will have it integrated and they won't be ditching it. So for now, just for testing, no big deal. Fool with the VTX. Nothing sucks. That they would have gained enough data to stop this from happening again. Iterative. I agree. From Brian Clausen. Good to hear from you, Brian. I always love seeing your name in chat. Thank you so much for the ongoing support and for always watching. So the people are also reporting on the tear in the airframe at 41 on the SpaceX stream. I did not see that. Let me pull it up here. Let me see if I can find. That's going to be a pain in the butt. I'll probably just have to. I'll just have to watch it later. From Marta Attacks, I love how you're being a beacon of positivity on this sometimes quite snarky internet. Been loving your content since day one. Peace. Thank you so much, Marta Attacks. It's easy. It's a choice you make to be positive and have fun, or yeah. Yeah, greatly appreciate that. Dwayne, thank you so much. Let's see. I saw some ones that I want to try to catch. Jacob Bester, been following you since the famous orange spacesuit. Maybe you should wear it now for the Astro Awards and then auction it off. Keep up the great work. We could probably figure something out someday. I do want to do something. I kind of want to get a shot that I photoshopped in 2016 of the booster landing, and it'd be really fun. Now we could recreate that in real life. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely crazy. Thank you so much. That was very, very generous of you. Booster looked like it was swaying a lot back and forth after landing on this one. Thanks for another great stream. I'll have to watch back at our replays there. I can't wait. We're going to have some amazing footage. Yeah, I have one vacuum engine running. Definitely not great. Yeah. Scott Manley talking about how, given that this is disrupting aircraft downrange, I would be wanting an investigation before I let Starship fly again, and want to know what kind of debris risk we're dealing with. Starship is big and designed to handle reentry. Is the explosion the result of tank failure or FTS? We might reasonably ask whether trying to destroy such a large object is the best option in an emergency, or whether it's safer to let it come down as in few pieces as possible. I agree with Scott on that. If this was FTS, that might beg the question at a certain point, is it safer just to let it try to use the flaps and try to just come down in one piece, partially controlled, rather than just in a million pieces? Holy crap. Quentin, I want to thank you for the live streams you do on every launch. You and your team are amazing. You make rocket science easy to understand for normal people. Thank you so much, Quentin. That is huge. Thank you so, so much. Seriously, that is absolutely amazing. Thank you. Everyone say huge thank you to Quentin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're literally paying the bills here. So that is amazing. Thank you very much. Parker says, screw the shorts, as in YouTube shorts. Keep it long form. There's a guy in Austin, Texas that has reached millions, maybe billions with long form. You know, yeah, I don't love shorts. Some things were great for shorts. There's a time and a place for shorts, but I hate that it's being pushed so hard when I want to make long form content that is as educational as humanly possible. And I'm going to keep trying to do that as much as I can. So, yeah, big disruption to flights. Flights in the area, for example, JBU 353, for example, are being diverted. I'm surprised because by now you'd think like it happened. All those pieces are going to be in the ground by now. So crazy. This is from Chuck. I've spent many pleasant hours watching your videos. Thanks for the detailed technical analysis. You are welcome. Again, we'll have to wait to see what exactly went wrong. Looked like a fire, maybe some kind of leak. Maybe something with that new aft section. They have new plumbing. Many things new with Starship, with the new version 2 Starship. Hopefully they get it figured out very quickly. Hopefully they get it satisfied with the FAA, and hopefully we see it flying again soon. Guys, I'm going to start logging out here. I've got a voice that's hurting. We've got a Starship that is still lowering. Maybe I think we just wrap up here. I think I'm just ready to be done. Of course, our friends at NSF and Lab Padre will have 24-hour streams if you want to see them lower the booster down onto the OLM. But I think for me, that's not the exciting stuff. The exciting stuff happened. We learned, we watched, we witnessed, we laughed, we cried, we sang, we frowned, we were excited, we were sad, we were holding multiple emotions. It was a crazy, crazy day. We probably got copyright struck. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But we've got a lot more coming from me, so stay tuned. Again, as a favor to me, just go back through and check out some videos that you might have missed because they were not being pushed out at all by YouTube for a long time. So, yeah, that'd mean a lot to me. I love you guys. And again, if you want to support the work we do, head on over to our shop, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Use the word Starship, all uppercase, all one word. Get 15% off of our entire heat shield collection. So our heat shield button-ups, our heat shield long sleeve, our heat shield mug, our heat shield water bottles. Yeah, those things will be 15% off with the coupon code Starship. So get it while you can. It makes a huge difference here. Beautiful, Andrew. And click on the video of the mug. Because the mug is so sick. It does change colors, and it actually like literally glows red hot, just like the heat shield does in real life. This is one of the most genius things we've ever had in our shop. This is why Allie is the best at what she does, because that is the coolest thing. And I drink out of mine almost every day. So there you are. everydayastronaut.com/shop, and maybe we'll see you at the Astro Awards, astroawards.live. Hope to see you there January 25th and 26th. We'll record as much as possible and post some videos later. For those of you that are not able to make it, I understand that not everyone can physically be in Austin, Texas at the same time. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth in about 8 pixels for everyday people. Bye, everybody.